Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the commentary hub here for some FA Cup coverage. We've got Middlesbrough and Chelsea, the two sides in action for this one. We've got JB and Chris Whiteman standing by as well. So we're just going to run you through the two lineups, and then we're going to get straight into the game as well. So I'm going to hand you over to JB and first to Chris as well. The two sides are out and we're ready to go as well now. So it's going to be Middlesbrough against Chelsea for this FA Cup coverage here on the Commentary Hub. Over to you, JB and Chris.
Thanks very much indeed, Mike. Welcome along to the Riverside Stadium for this quarter-final. Let's have a look at the two lineups, starting with Middlesbrough with Joe Lumley in goal. Then it's Dirk Steele, McNair and Dale Fry at the back. And then it's a five-man midfield with Jones, Crooks, Howson, Tavernier and Taylor. And Balogun and Connolly, the two lone men from Arsenal and Brighton, respectively, up front. As for Chelsea, it's Edouard Mendy in goal, back four of Asperqueta, Silva, Rudiger and Sarr. Then two Loftus-Cheek and Kovacic, the two holding midfielders, with further forward Ziyech, Mount and Pulisic, and Romelu Lukaku with 11 goals this season up front. On the bench for Middlesbrough, Daniels, Hull, Ozania, Peltier, Duncan Watmore, Sol Bamba, Coleman, the match winner last time, and Boyle Munt, Bettinelli, Alonso, Kante, Werner, Shalabar, Barkley, Kennedy, Kai Havertz, who's the joint top scorer, also with 11 goals, and Vale. Referee today, Paul Tierney from Wigan. Lee Betts and James Mannering are the two assistants. And Darren England is or Robert Jones rather, is the fourth official. VAR referee tonight is Darren England. And we're all set for this FA Cup quarter-final. A terrific occasion in prospect here in the bright sunshine of Teesside. It's very warm, mild afternoon. Alongside me is Chris. Last time we were together, we were just 30 miles up the road at Gateshead. How do you think this one will go tonight, Chris?
Well, good evening, everyone. I just want to point out that everyone is standing and applauding with the "We all stand together with Ukraine," and fair to say, I think everybody can get behind that. But in terms of the game tonight, it's really going to be a tough one to call, really. Will the off-the-pitch drama affect Chelsea? I mean, their current form, no, not really. 11 wins in the last 12 games. They've really not been too badly affected by it. Borough, on the other hand, have been imperious at home. 9 wins in a row at the Riverside. One of them coming against Tottenham Hotspur last round out. So this could go any way. But basically, it's a 99% Middlesbrough fan-filled stadium with just over 600 Chelsea fans being able to make the trip. So it is going to be a hostile environment for Chelsea, to say the least. But it's the FA Cup. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, and a word about Ukraine. In fact, Middlesbrough's chairman, Steve Gibson, we're just about to kick off, by the way. Steve Gibson, the Middlesbrough chairman, incidentally, has pledged all proceeds from today's game will go to the Ukrainian fund, and that's a fantastic gesture by the Middlesbrough chairman. So, Middlesbrough, in the first of 4 quarterfinals, we have three of them live. Tomorrow it's Trevor and Paul with the Southampton Manchester City game. Then Ross Ferdinand at 6 o'clock with Nottingham Forest. But Middlesbrough have been one of the sensations of this round. And I've got to say, the atmosphere here at the Borough is absolutely superb. The players will take the knee, of course, on the referee, Paul Tierney, turn his first whistle. In fact, Middlesbrough stand and do their own little appreciation to highlight that there's no room for racism in any walk of life, let alone football. And on the second whistle of Paul Tierney, the Chelsea players incidentally took the knee. And away we go then in this first of 4 quarterfinals. Got to be decided tonight, of course, either through 90 minutes, extra time, or possibly penalties. No replays from the quarterfinals onwards, of course, as it has been in all rounds. As Chris was saying just now, Middlesbrough 9 wins in a row, including Tottenham in the last round, where Coleman came off the bench. Josh Coleman came off the bench to score the winning goal. They look very good on set plays, Middlesbrough. When I watched them in midweek, we watched the 5th round game in midweek, and they were really good on set plays and caused Tottenham a lot of trouble. And Chelsea, of course, in the last round at Luton, had difficulties from set plays and conceded a goal in the first few minutes of that game. As the ball is knocked forward up towards number 8, Mateo Kovacic. The ball knocked forward again, cut out there by number 7, Marcus Tavernier, whose brother James plays, of course, for Rangers up in Scotland. And in fact, that's the first free kick of the game to Middlesbrough. How do you think this one will go, Russ? Do you think Middlesbrough will take it to Chelsea? And what do you think Middlesbrough's game plan will be to catch Chelsea out, considering that Chelsea were found wanting, especially on the set plays at Luton in the last round?
I must be wearing the wrong name badge. I think I've picked up Russ's by mistake. It could go either way. It's as I think like Middlesbrough are brewing on an attack here. I'll just wait a minute before I make my prediction with that.
Yeah, and here is Tavernier on the far side here, number 35. He's got a bit of an overlap here. Cross comes in. Asperqueta got it half away. Hakim Ziyech is trying to come away with the ball. Now it comes to McNair, one of 3 centre-backs that boss Chris Wilder has picked. Middlesbrough starting today just outside the Championship playoff spots and very much in the mix alongside another quarter-finalist, Nottingham Forest, who are going well also under Steve Cooper. We'll hear them tomorrow night with Russ Burnham as they take on the mighty Liverpool. But it's Asperqueta now coming forward for Chelsea down the near side, and he uses Thiago again. So we'll try and whilst the game is just settled down, we've had 2 minutes 16 gone in the first half. What do you think? I'll re-ask the question again, Chris, in a moment or two. What do you think Middlesbrough and Chris Wilder really need to do to upset the odds tonight?
Play as they did against Tottenham, particularly as they did in extra time. That intensity, that attacking mentality, where they're not overawed by who they're up against. I know Chelsea are a completely different prospect to Tottenham. You know, they are against the champions of Europe and the world. So there might be a chance here.
Yes, and it's Mount going down the right-hand channel here for Chelsea. He's faced by a Middlesbrough defender, McNair. The cross comes in towards the back post, and Pulisic at the far post couldn't reach it there, and it's gone away to safety from a Middlesbrough point of view, and they've got the ball on the far side here. Howson, the experienced midfield work engine, started his career at Leeds. Ball forward again by number 7, Tavernier. And then Taylor, the former Swansea left-back, plays the ball forward. And there's been a foul there. Asperqueta has been fouled and a free kick to Middlesbrough. It was Taylor with the challenge. And Middlesbrough not afraid to get a couple of meaty challenges in there, Chris, as Neil Taylor showed against Asperqueta.
Well, this is the kind of physicality championship level that Premier League players forget exists most of the time. Just looking at a replay of this Pulisic chance, I think Lukaku ends up getting a small touch on it, which takes it away from Pulisic. I think it rebounds off his shin, which stops Pulisic getting in.
And here comes Chelsea again. It's Pulisic on the far side deflection. It's almost kicked off the line, and McNair has to half volley it away on the edge of the penalty box. And Chelsea really laying siege to the goal here as the ball comes in towards Ziyech. And again, more problems there, but it's Middlesbrough coming away with it very strongly. And number 47, Balogun, on loan from Arsenal, dispossessed. Again, another shot from number 19, Mason Mount, charged away. And here comes Tavernier again. And I think the flag has gone up. No, it hasn't. And the ball out of play. And it will be a goal kick to Chelsea. Just to remind everybody, VAR is in operation for all 4 quarterfinals, regardless what ground or what stadium they're at. And the VAR official, just to remind you, is Darren England. Good little passage of play there, Chris, as we approach the 5 minutes gone mark. And here's Howson again. We'll come to Chris in a second, because Borough have got an attack going here with Balogun, the on-loanee from Arsenal. Plenty of game time, only 2 goals this season, but a good workhorse, and Middlesbrough forced the corner. And this is where I think, I don't know if you agree, set plays are going to be key here for Borough.
They are. They were very effective with them against Tottenham. I mean, Chelsea have got a probably slightly more watertight defence with the experience of Thiago Silva Azpilicueta, Rudiger, the rookies. I say rookie. The youngster Sarr playing at left back might find this a bit more challenging, but we'll see how organised they are. Mendy organising the troops in his 6-yard box.
Yeah, he's the normal goalkeeper at the moment. No Kepa Arrizabalaga in the 18. So nearly 6 minutes gone. Here comes the corner from the far side. All the big men up for Borough, as you'd expect. Mendy only got it half away, but it fell very kindly to a Chelsea bod. And now here comes Hakim Ziyech down this near side. As we look here from the commentary box at the Riverside. Remember, Chris was here last round with Trevor when they saw a terrific result against Tottenham. And remember, they're no mugs. Middlesbrough, they proved that win at Old Trafford certainly was no flash in the pan. Of course, that finished 1-1 and they won 9-8 on penalties and scored every penalty in that shootout. Ziyech fouled there by Dirk Steele. Or Dirk Steele was fouled by, it was the other way round actually. But anyway, Dale Fry back to goalkeeper Joe Lumley. No relation to Joanna, obviously, but here comes Paddy McNair. Started his career at Old Trafford, incidentally. Paddy McNair at Manchester United. Here's Dale Fry.
Started quite a few games under Louis van Gaal. They had that centre-back crisis going on at the time. I think it was just towards the back end of Rio Ferdinand going, and they didn't really have a decent centre-back pairing at the time.
Yeah, I remember him and Tyler Blackhead. I think started a game against Swansea when Van Gaal took over first season, and they were beaten by Swansea 2-1, and they had a lot of problems in those days. Still have problems now, Manchester United, with centre-backs. Ask Gary Maguire. Anyway, here come Middlesbrough, housing back to Lumley. Lumley, of course, at QPR, one of his previous clubs. Good young prospect come for at Rangers. Of course, he's been offloaded to Middlesbrough. He's flourished. He's used up a little bit of luck certainly in the fourth round where he made a couple of errors. We seem to remember against Manchester United, but sometimes in the cup you need a little bit of luck. But Middlesbrough, as we said, 9 on the bounce. This will be the greatest test, although Trevor and Chris will have said that against Tottenham when Tottenham came here in the last round a week or two back and came up flat on their faces. Here's Kovacic now to Azpilicueta, just to the right of the D, just outside it, in fact, but they've gone backwards here. Loftus-Cheek. This is Sarr, the rookie left back, number 31. And Kovacic looking to pick a way through. Romelu Lukaku up front, joint top scorer on 11 in all competitions. And I think the Chelsea supporters expected a bit more for what they did pay out in the summer, nearly £100 million. Unfortunately, due to certain ownership issues at the top of the club now, which we won't go into, I think those days of fancy numbers for players, fancy number of fees for those sort of players are now, I think, going to be numbered for Thomas Tuchel. Here's Loftus-Cheek in the centre, gets the ball over the top, looking to get Pulisic in behind. It looks like a foul there by Pulisic on one of the Middlesbrough lads. It was Jones. Isaiah Jones, and a free kick to Middlesbrough. And I suppose, in a way, Chris, this is going to be a true test of Chelsea on the field. When you look at their off-the-field problems, again, we won't go into politics because we're not really a politics programme, but it's going to be a test for Tuchel and his boys, considering all that's going on off the field. And a trip to Middlesbrough in a partisan crowd, nearly 30,000 Borough fans here today, is not going to be easy. This is a true test of Thomas Tuchel's management skills, isn't it?
Well, Thomas Tuchel has been performing admirably as manager during the whole circumstance. And, the team seem unfazed by what's going on off the pitch. But there's a chance here for Borough. There
is a chance here. Tavernier's cross looking towards Balogun in the penalty area. And it was just too far ahead, and it's a throw-in to Chelsea.
Yeah, but as I said, Tuchel's been performing admirably. The team have kept their heads down and performed excellently, quite frankly. As I said, 11 wins in 12 before this game. So they're keeping it together on the pitch. Off the pitch is something which they don't have control of. So they're very much doing all they can to maintain Chelsea at the top. So
yes, there's a lot of...
it's always going to be a challenge, particularly this particular scenario where they're basically, barring the 600 Chelsea fans, they're more or less on their own here. So it's a very hostile environment for them.
Well, they're going to have the same problem when they have to go away to Real Madrid later on in the Champions League. I think that's the second leg. They got drawn against Real Madrid, who have made a bit of a renaissance this season under Carlo Ancelotti. It's got to be said. So, the FA Cup, very much out of the running in the league championship race. Liverpool and Manchester City, some 10 and 13 points ahead of them in that race, respectively. So it's all about gaining Champions League. But in terms of silverware, you think the FA Cup's the more realistic one out of the two they've got left in, considering the calibre of teams left in the Champions League. Certainly Manchester City and Liverpool still left in that competition. As Tavernier breaks forward from midfield, picks out number 25 here, Crooks, who's one of the top scorers with 9 goals in a Berry shirt. And of course, Josh Coleman, who might come on later on. Looking forward to seeing him if he comes on later in the piece. Good 1-2 here, trying to be played here with Dirk Steele. Ball played in, and it's not behind for another Middlesbrough corner. And I tell you what, the temperature and the noise is cranked up tenfold here at the Riverside Stadium as Middlesbrough get another corner. We played 11 and a half minutes gone on all TCF platforms, and it's still 0-0 here. It's JB and CW, John Stuttard and Chris Whiteman to give us our Sunday names, and Mike Arneman in a nice warmish studio down in London. We're up in a very sunny northeast of England as day turns to night. Yeah, partisan crowd. Corner to be coming from the far side towards the near post where Howson attacked it. Howson just come away with the ball. Ball knocked in there by Isaiah Jones, but the whistle, I think, had gone. And I think a free kick has been awarded to Chelsea. I think there might have been a foul there spotted by Mr. Tierney, the referee from Wigan, and a free kick has been given to Chelsea. Not many Burnley fans' best friend after last week at Brentford. Here's Aspilicueta to Thiago Silva. Vastly experienced player, been there, seen it, done it, and has achieved most of the things in the game. Brazilian centre-back, of course. Here's Antonio Rooney now in his 4th season at Chelsea. Came in, made his debut in 2017-18. Remember that 3-2 Burnley victory over Chelsea that day? And a day where Chelsea had 2 players sent off. I seem to remember. Anyway, a long, long time ago, those heady days for every Burnley fan. 2 of which are commentating on this game right now. 13 minutes gone. Long kick forward. And Sarr did well there at the left back there. Run the header very well. So I think he's going to be up to the challenge. Looked like a clear push by Lukaku, but the referee, Tierney, letting it go on with Middlesbrough in possession. Lumley kicks away right-footed. Header back by Sarr, and Rudiger back to Mendy. So we're coming up to 13 and a half minutes gone, Chris. And Middlesbrough, you have to say, have been just as good as their more illustrious opponents this far in this game.
Yeah, first 13 and a half minutes, it's been pretty even. Chelsea have had their chances, Middlesbrough have had theirs. So could be anything today score-wise, but Middlesbrough certainly not looking to park the bus and try and send this to extra time and whatnot. They've been going for it just as much as Chelsea have. And
it's a good job, Chris, for a long time. I mean, I haven't made a bold prediction that there are going to be goals. We had that last time I had a co-commentator, that was Paul James. He predicted there'd be goals in the cup final, the League Cup final, and we got 0-0. But there might be not a 0-0 now because Lukaku has turned it in from 6 yards, maybe less than that. And it's funny that just as I was saying that story, the ball goes down the right-hand side. It's a lovely crossing from Mason Mount, it has to be said. It's across the 6-yard area, and the 500 Chelsea fans celebrate. And Romelu Lukaku registers his 12th goal of the season, and now he's the outright goal scorer, top goal scorer so far this season for Chelsea. And with 15 minutes almost gone in the first half, it's Middlesbrough 0, Chelsea 1. And what a lovely move it was, Chris. Brilliant goal.
It was. They exposed the high press that Borough like to play. It's a very Chris Wilder style. They managed to get beyond. They pulled the 3 centre-backs forward, forcing them wide. Mount gets to the byline, puts in a perfect cross just on the edge of the 6-yard box in line with the penalty spot where Lukaku was waiting. And unfortunately, there's only going to be one winner in that one. Lukaku, just an easy tap-in. Delivery was perfect. Put in that no-man's land where the keeper can't quite get to it and the centre-back's too far back. And it's easy finish into the middle of the goal. It's well-worked counter-attack that by Chelsea. Part of the game plan that will be, they know how highly Middlesbrough are going to press, and they immediately capitalised by stretching those 3 centre-backs apart there.
Yes, absolutely. And it was a well-worked goal. Definitely not offside at any stage during that build-up. And it was a beautifully worked goal. So, no, there was no problems on checking that one with VAR at that particular time in the game. So 1-0 it is to Chelsea. And it's a real shame, really, for Middlesbrough. But the 500 Chelsea supporters, from what we saw looking out to our left-hand side, were quite cock-a-hoop. But it's a disappointing start, really disappointing moment for Middlesbrough. But I think I guess from their point of view, still got if they can get the crowd behind them, there's still a lot of time left in this game. We're only 16 minutes in. And if Middlesbrough can just get a little bit more intensity back, Chris, then they're still very much in with a shout.
Well, they're going to keep creating chances the way they're playing, so there's going to be more chances for them to equalise. So, as you said, the game is young. We're only 16 and a half minutes into this game, so there's still plenty of time for Borough to get an equaliser. They've just got to be a bit more disciplined with their shape there because they got exposed by pressing too highly up.
And let's not forget they were 1-0 down at Old Trafford in a couple of rounds before, and they came back to level the count and take this to penalties. So in the FA Cup, anything is possible. Just to remind everybody that we have to have a decision here today, whether through 90 minutes, extra time, or possibly penalties. So it has to be decided on the day. Remember, we've got 2 more live quarterfinals tomorrow. And one recorded one. The recorded one will be Crystal Palace against Everton, the lunchtime kickoff. And I'll be doing that one. And we'll hear that on Monday night. Also, tomorrow afternoon live, Paul James is alongside Trevor. We'll just break off for a second because there was a ball not through, but Lumley came out and played sweeper keeper. I'll remind you of the 2 live quarterfinals as soon as we get a break in play because Middlesbrough are coming forward now with Matt Crooks over halfway. Gets the ball out to Dirk Steele, who runs it forward, and a nice little ball in there towards Balogun. We haven't really seen much of Aaron Connolly so far, although he was battling the ball there. Johnny Howson is lost possession. Number 19, Mason Mount, knocks the ball forward. Lukaku looked as if he used his hand there. Referee and linesman didn't spot it, and Chelsea are allowed to go on here with Kovacic, and they're just slowing the play down a little bit here with 18 minutes gone. So they're in the lead, Chelsea. A goal from Lukaku just shy of the quarter-hour mark. Ziyech plays the ball around to Aspilicueta, who made an overlapping run, gets a deflection off number 3 there, Taylor, the experienced left-back, and it's a corner now to Chelsea with, as I say, just over 18 minutes gone here on the TC Hub. And Middlesbrough just at the moment up against it at the moment. But we'll just see what happens here from this corner kick. Still bright sunshine, the sun's starting to set this time next week. The clocks will be going forward, I think. So we'll lose an extra hour in bed, but then again, we'll get warm, sunnier weather for the next sort of 5 or 6 months as winter becomes spring. Very spring conditions. Apparently, the weather conditions are going to get better next week as well. 20 degrees Celsius next week. Apparently, I was watching the weather forecast before we came on the air. Anyway, here comes the corner. It's going to be flipped in there towards the penalty area. Header one in the area, and the header goes wide. And a little bit of respite there for Middlesbrough there because Chelsea just cranked up the power there the last couple of minutes or so, Chris.
Yeah, it's a really intriguing situation now because an early goal from Chelsea and the way it happens is probably playing on Middlesbrough's mind. It's like, well, if that's how you're going to play, this is what we're going to do. And we've already punished you once. Try it again, and we'll just keep doing it again. So it's going to be interesting to see who lands the next blow. Because if Middlesbrough get an equaliser, Chelsea will have to change up how they're playing. They can't slow the tempo down like what they're currently doing now, trying to take the sting out of Middlesbrough. Whereas, obviously, if Chelsea get another goal, it might well break Middlesbrough's resolve a bit, and Chelsea can start running away with it. But it's a really intriguing situation. It's Pulisic almost rinsing his man there, but ends up pushing his man over, and it's a free kick on the byline, more or less.
So I tell you what, Chris, that was a good bit of techers, that wasn't it?
it was indeed. He turned his man inside out, as we're seeing. Petr Cech is in attendance as well, although I suppose he's technically part of the goalkeeping setup.
Yeah, he's one of the hierarchy at Chelsea at the moment. He's had to do a lot of the press stuff as well in the last sort of 3 weeks since all these revelations have come out about Roman Abramovich. But here's the free kick taken by Lumley. We've had just over 20 and a half minutes gone in here at the Riverside Stadium in the first of 4 FA Cup quarter-finals this weekend. We've got 3 of them live for you. The 2 other 2 games, I should tell you, one comes from Southampton, St Mary's, and Trevor won't have to travel too far for that one, as it's in his home county of Hampshire. Paul James will be joining him at St Mary's tomorrow for that one, as Chelsea come forward again with Christian Pulisic breaking up against the defender there, Dirk Steele, who just held him off well, and Isaiah Jones helped him out superbly. Ball up towards Aaron Connolly, who didn't really hit the ground running this season for Brighton and has been farmed out on loan. Chris Wilder, though, has rebuilt his reputation. He had a chasing inexperience this time last year with Sheffield United. Around about that time, he got axed as manager after doing a terrific job at Bramall Lane, getting them from the depths of League One to the Premier League within 3 seasons, which was an unbelievable achievement. And also, he's followed a former Sheffield. In fact, the previous manager, Neil Warnock, of course, was a Sheffield United manager of great repute as well. As Chelsea tried to play off on the back, and Loftus-Cheek has slipped a couple of times and has somehow managed to get away with it. On another day, he might have ended up more red-faced than a Middlesbrough shirt there. But anyway, we're coming up towards the halfway mark of the first half. My notes are dropping off the desk as we speak. They're not the greatest of commentary positions we've got here at the Riverside, but certainly we're trying to keep notes still on the ground, on the tables are concerned, but a cracking game of football nevertheless. Middlesbrough 0, Chelsea 1 on all TCO platforms. And you can have your say here on the TCO channel. Please keep your comments clean. We'll read some of the comments out throughout the evening if you would like to get in touch with us across all TCO platforms, and we'll read some of them out. And don't forget, a lot of you that subscribe to the TCO, incidentally, as Thiago just play, it's just Chelsea at the moment, just playing keep ball on the edge of their own area. But here's Loftus-Cheek. Oh, good tackle there. Nothing wrong with that. We'll come back to that in a second because Middlesbrough coming forward. Chip forward again. And there might be a chance for Bannigan inside the area, but he just ran away from him. But he's kept it in on the left-hand side. He's up against Antonio Rudiger here. Now then, what can Bannigan do here? He's looking to play it towards McNair. Started off at Manchester United, as I said earlier. And he's gone back towards halfway. Well, Dale Fry will take possession here. Middlesbrough, at time of me prepping the notes, I'm starting to prep the notes for 7th in the Championship. I'm not sure whether they're that position now, but at the time they were just on the fringes of the playoffs. And they were in them at some point, but they've won 9 in a row at home. But that record looks under threat, certainly in all competitions. But here's Howson picking it up on the halfway line, and Rudiger and Connolly having a bit of a wrestling match. Play on, says the referee, and Sarr was very petulant and late there, and it's a free kick to Middlesbrough on the right-hand side, almost in line at the edge of the penalty area, and a real opportunity for Middlesbrough, Chris, to really bombard the penalty area.
Yeah, well, again, Chelsea being caught dawdling in possession a little bit, which leading to these quick attacking counter-attacks from Middlesbrough. Howson really got the ball rolling fairly quickly, but Chelsea need to be careful here. As we say, set pieces very much Middlesbrough's strength here, along with their high press. So this is a great opportunity for Middlesbrough to get themselves back in it as we approach the 25th minute. Yes,
we're just at the 25th and a half minute, 24th and a half minute. As the free kick is prepared there. Dale Fry is up, a big 6-footer. Also, Crooks, the top scorer with 9. He's a big 6-foot plus F, so plenty of height inside that penalty area for Middlesbrough to try and aim for here. Taylor's just around about just to the left of the penalty spot as that free kick is sent in, and it's nodded behind by Rudiger. And he gets, in fact, it was Lukaku rather doing some defensive work. Wow, I never knew Romelu Lukaku. Chris was a very good defender. He did well there.
That was a textbook defensive header, that one. High and over the bar, away from danger. Absolutely no chance for that one.
I wonder if he can repeat the dose again. It's another Middlesbrough corner. Far side. Still 1-0 Chelsea, but it's a slender 1-0 lead. Can the Middlesbrough fans will their team on to equalise? Ball inside the penalty area. Oh, it just wouldn't break for for Balogun, who tried to header it goalwards. He headed it wayward, and here comes Dirk Steele trying to get the ball forward. And another foul there on Tavernier, who takes the corners as well. And another free kick to Middlesbrough. Mason Mount this time the guilty party. And Chelsea just getting a little bit indisciplined at the moment, CW.
Yeah, Middlesbrough just being that little bit fractionally quicker to second balls, and that's what's leading to all these fouls being given away. Middlesbrough are very sharp at the minute.
Yes, of course, 26 minutes gone on the commentary hub. Second game this afternoon. Ball played into the penalty area. Wales were beaten in the rugby, incidentally, if you didn't see the rugby earlier. Wales were beaten 16-15 by Italy, the Six Nations. Who would have thought that one? And hopefully we'll get an update from Ireland, Scotland with Mike Arneman at half-time. Also, he had a good win. His team also had a good win in the Premier League, 1-0 at Aston Villa today, the only Premier League game. And Blackburn lost as well at Reading, which was great news for a couple of Burnley fans who heard the results go through on the tannoy before the start of the game. I think you know which two Burnley fans we're talking about, the two that are on air right now. A little bit of sunshine.
Whose results? I don't know who they are.
Yeah, but a little bit of joy in what's been a chastening season for us Clarets, that's for sure. So could well be a derby next year at Turf Moor in Ewood Park, maybe, if Burnley don't get out of the position they're in. Anyway, Mason Mount on the ball now for Chelsea. Red could tie this, and it still could go either way. Here's number 2, Dirk Steele, wearing the armband on his right hand, or his left hand, I should say. He's got an arm bandage on. I think he must have some sort of an injury that he was carrying. And here's McNair now, the Irishman. Uses Tavernier, number 7. Here he goes, bundling down the left-hand side for Middlesbrough. Still McNair on halfway. And Dirk Steele trying to knock the ball forward. And here is number 35 on the ball here, Isaiah Jones. Tries to take on a couple of Chelsea opponents as Middlesbrough still keep possession with Johnny Howson. But the ball is careered out of play on the far side. And, well, we've had 28 minutes here on the TC Hub. Still anyone's cup tie this. A long, long way to go. Chris Wilder just barking out a few instructions there as Chelsea get on with it now with Cesar Azpilicueta, the Spaniard. Gets the ball forward, but he's knocked it into touch down on the near side. It's another throw-in. The world champions certainly not having it all their own way this evening, and European Cup winners as well. They beat Manchester City in that all-English European final last year and won it oh so well. And we've got I've got a Six Nations update for you in a minute or two from Mike. And Middlesbrough come charging forward now. Now then, what can Dirk Steele do here? Or rather, sorry, number 35, Jones take on Sarr, but Sarr blocked it. And it's going to be another Middlesbrough throw-in. It's a terrific game of football here. We've got here at the Riverside Stadium for you. Jones again, whips the ball in. Balogun is there. So too is Connolly. Now the ball back to Johnny Howson, who can hit them. Howson's shot, and it's just it's way over the top in the end. But Johnny Howson had the reputation of scoring good long-range goals. He had a very good reputation at Leeds. And, of course, his career's just gone off the rails somewhat over the last few years. But Howson, when he usually gets into those positions, Chris, can strike a ball, but not on this occasion. A goal kick to goal kick to Chelsea, rather.
Yeah, he just didn't get his balance right with that shot, leaning back a bit too much, and he ended up skying it like a rugby conversion, since rugby was on everyone's lips. But Howson, though, we know he's a good player. He was man of the match last time out in the FA Cup against Spurs, where he basically ran the show. So Chelsea got to be wary of him.
Yeah, just speaking of the rugby, it's half-time in the game at the Aviva. It's Ireland 14, Scotland 5. That is currently a half-time scoreline, we're told. So Ireland doing their bit to try and win the Six Nations, of course. France against England later. Can France do the Grand Slam at CH? Absolutely. Grand Slam's won himself from the edge of the penalty area, just to the right. And it goes sweetly into the left-hand corner. We've had half an hour, and that's a real body blow for Middlesbrough now as Chelsea take a 2-goal lead with half an hour gone. Nothing that Lumley could do about it. There may have been a deflection, but CH shit it so well. The ball may have just bounced in front of Lumley, but the way he struck it, Chris, he absolutely had no chance. Half an hour gone, it's Middlesbrough 0, Chelsea 2. And what a lovely, again, you've got to say, Chris, lovely build-up again from Chelsea from one end to the other.
It's basically a carbon copy of 15 minutes ago. Middlesbrough pressing high. Chelsea quickly counter-attack, stretch the back three, checks inside Taylor, which Ziyech then finds himself with a few yards to hammer a long-range shot, and he's done it's kind of his signature shot, isn't it? A curling effort into the far corner of the goal. Goalkeeper could do nothing about it. Hits the side netting. It's a perfect shot. And Chelsea basically did exactly the same as they did last time. Let Middlesbrough come onto them, pressing highly up, then quickly, a couple of passes, they've cut out both the attacking and midfield players, leaving about 4 or 5 Chelsea players up against 3 Middlesbrough defenders. And it was a numbers game that was too much for Middlesbrough's defence.
A numbers game indeed. Maybe Wilder fought for it at the back. It was his signature formation. When you think back to his time at Sheffield United and things like that, but at the moment his team of free transfers and youngsters and journeymen looking really very much second raters against this Chelsea team, even though off the pitch they're in dire straits. There was massive talk about Chelsea not even existing a couple of weeks ago. That's probably not going to be the case. The club is still up for sale and there are prospective buyers. That's been sorted out with the government, which is good news from that side of things. But Chelsea giving their chances of more silverware a power ago with that second goal. But Middlesbrough, you now feel at this stage have to get the next goal. If they can get one before half time, could be in for an interesting second half. But Middlesbrough just have got to just steady themselves a little bit and just maybe just play 1 or 2 nice passes and just feel their way back into it. They are a good, dangerous side. They are not 9. They haven't won 9 in a row for nothing. So I suppose this is probably the biggest test of that winning streak, Chris, that they have to show a bit more character than what they've shown in the previous 2 rounds.
Yeah, but again, this is as big a test as you can possibly get. You're up against the European and world champions. It doesn't get any bigger than this. And, well, here we go again. Middlesbrough pressing high. Will they do it again?
Well, they've got to do something to get themselves back into this game, Barry. As I said, a decent enough.
Quick counter.
Yeah, and here they go again. Here's Kovacic looking towards Pulisic, who looks an absolute superstar, doesn't he? He's a terrific player. Scored a lovely goal, a couple of nice goals against Burnley a couple of weeks ago, where Chelsea were just far too good on the day. Here's Azpilicueta now in possession. Finds Mason Mount. Called up into the England squad, of course, for their forthcoming games next week. Here's Kovacic on the edge of the box. A third Chelsea goal would certainly sink Barry now. Here's Ziyech, played it in there towards Lukaku, and it's going to be a corner kick, I think, to Chelsea. But, well, that could have easily... Well, if Middlesbrough weren't sunk before, they could have easily been sunk there, Chris. Lovely football again, just cutting through Middlesbrough like a knife, almost like a meat cleaver even.
Indeed, Lukaku is the perfect outlet for this kind of counter-attacking style they're playing against Borough, because they can get it to Lukaku and he can hold off the defence and then lay it off to quick overlapping players. It's Kovacic with
and here's Kovacic with the cross into the penalty area, headed away that time by McNair. The ball does not deflect. It's a goal kick to Middlesbrough and a chance for Joe Lumley just to calm things down a little bit now as we approach the final 10.5 minutes plus injury time at the end of what's been a very interesting, good first half. Been a really good first half as we see Rudiger completely miss his kick. I don't think that will be a replay you'll want to see again and again for many years. Anyway, here's a chance now for Middlesbrough, and it's Connolly. Connolly breaking inside the area. He's only got Barrigan with him. There's the cross coming in from Jones, but it's a poor cross of the roof of Mendy's net. And I wonder what the referee's giving here. Is he giving a goal kick or is it a corner? He might have got a deflection. No, it's not. I don't think it's a goal corner. It's definitely a goal kick, so it must have been a poor cross from Jones. And, well, the sun is starting to set here on Teesside. It's a lovely part of the world where you've got the River Tees there. It's Middlesbrough, of course, famous for its dock shipyards, the Transporter Bridge, and its football team. And you've got to say Middlesbrough have been in the wilderness for a number of years. Steve Gibson has always As Dale Fry gets in a challenge here, we'll just have to break off for a second. Oh, Tavernier could have caused a lot of problems and off the line. Oh my goodness, Tavernier trying to play the ball back. It came to Lukaku. He rounded Lumley and a defender on the line, I'm not sure who it was, kicked it off the line, and Middlesbrough were within half a metre of being knocked out of the FA Cup with 36 minutes gone. And it was almost, well, it was Keystone Cops defending for a minute, Chris. In fact, Ziyech would have been tagged offside if it had gone to VAR.
Yeah, it would have been offside, but that doesn't mean we can't commend the excellent goal line clearance that we just witnessed. Excellent stuff there. It was from Dijksteel, although they gave a corner.
Yeah, he gave a corner, but the corner didn't come to much. The short one, it was straight in the arms of Blomley. Yeah, it was Dijksteel who got back and did a magnificent job. Now, the chance here for Jones to break down that Middlesbrough right, but Thiago Silva, too coy centre-back, really, to be fooled by that. And in the end, at least Middlesbrough still trying to defend from the front and cause one or two pangs of panic in that Chelsea back line. But at the moment, Chelsea bombing along quite nicely in this game, 2-0 ahead. And I think there's a responsibility now as we come up towards the half-time interval here. And we've just got about 6 or 7 minutes maybe of that to run before that happens, plus injury time. But there's a responsibility now on the Middlesbrough fans to really get behind their team now. They're in trouble. They're 2 goals down. And they really need that 12th man more than ever now, Chris, at this stage of the game, just to try and will them on at least until half-time.
Yeah, well, but again, Chelsea have kind of played in a way where they haven't given Middlesbrough fans much to shout about. They've kind of contained the Middlesbrough threat, and then they're obviously making them a little anxious with the whole high press counter attack that they're running. So it's really all been about not giving Middlesbrough anything to cheer about, and Chelsea have definitely smothered any kind of threats that Middlesbrough brought forward so far.
Yeah, Thomas Tuchel is one of those coaches that leaves no stone unturned, so to speak. Attention to detail is his motto, like many German coaches. Mr. Klopp, who came out in his press conference before the Forest game yesterday and said he's never been to Nottingham, and only knows of Nottingham through Robin Hood, apparently. You can't. Well, if you watch a Jurgen Klopp press conference these days, it's quite an entertainment, that's for sure.
Well, I hope he knows that they've won 2 European Cups.
I think he'll be astute enough to know that one. I think if he knows his stuff, Jurgen Klopp. But those were in the days of Brian Clough, of course. But be good to see another big crowd at City Ground tomorrow, and that's incidentally one of our live commentary games. We've got 2 of them tomorrow. We've got Southampton against Manchester City with Trevor and Paul James, and it'll be the first time those 2 will be together in the commentary box, and we wish them both well. But they've worked together with me before on that Forest Arsenal game, and then Russ will be doing a solo commentary tomorrow at the City Ground as Nottingham Forest aim to add Liverpool to the list of scouts they've already got, including Leicester and Arsenal, of course. Here's the ball knocked forward again towards Bannigan. The flag has gone up for offside. And once again, we've got the play on for about 5 seconds before the linesman actually puts his flag up. That is the most ridiculous rule I've ever heard for offside. If he's offside, Chris, I have to say this about 4 times a commentary. Right? If he's offside, put the flag up. Don't wait 5 seconds. I find that rule frustrating and ridiculous.
It can take a couple of seconds for the linesman to actually realise it's offside. You can get taken up by the game sometimes, but sometimes there's just that moment, that lapse of between actually moving the arm and thinking about it. It happens, but it could be done quicker, arguably, yes.
Yeah, as we see I've just seen a nice overhead shot of the Middlesbrough Transporter Bridge, and then there's a couple of power stations in the background as well. Very industrial town, Middlesbrough. Very working class, that is for sure. On the banks of the River Tees, right on the border of North Yorkshire and the northeast of England. And it's as I say, it's a very working class town. Sunderland and Newcastle not too far up the road are certainly that, and then you go 30 miles south and you look at Richmond in North Yorkshire. That's quite a upmarket sort of town, And that's where Josh Coleman incidentally comes from, 19 years of age. So it's a nice area. As the ball is, in fact, there's a free kick given there against Hakim Ziyech, or in favour of him, fouled by Taylor. As we now hit the last 5 minutes of the first half in the main, Chelsea have won the tactical battles, and for sure, as Chris was saying in his analysis, that Thomas Tuchel's tactic to smother Middlesbrough has worked absolutely to perfection at the moment. Here's Sarr, the rookie left back, and he's knocked the ball out of play now. 4 minutes to go at the end of the first half. Okay, so as we just look at Steve Gibson there, the long-time owner and chairman of Middlesbrough Football Club, he's a Middlesbrough fan. Of course, his son Ben Gibson, a former Burnley player, now plays at Norwich. And we've got to commend Steve Gibson. He was the man that brought Brian Robson in the late 1990s and presided over a nice period in the club's history as the ball is knocked over towards Christian Pulisic. As we're still a long, long way from the likes of Janino and Ravanelli and people like that. Of course, they've won a trophy under his tenureship, the League Cup against Bolton Wanderers in 2004, under the guidance of Steve McLaren, and they've had a European final, so it's not been all doom and gloom under Gibson. They have had a few great moments in their history, but only one major trophy.
We've had a few battles with them in terms of promotion pushes as well, from a Burnley standpoint.
Oh, you bet. We might have another one next year if things pan out the way that they are doing.
Yeah, the Karanka versus Deitch matches were always spectacular.
Oh, they were amazing. They're absolutely brilliant. No quality given in some of those games. If you look back at those old games, but Chelsea are in possession now as we head towards half time here, and we're about 2.5 minutes away from stoppage time. It's been an interesting first half in many ways. 2 attempts to Borough, 6 to Chelsea. Chelsea with the 3 shots on target, 2 of them in the back of the Borough net. And, of course, one kicked off the line by Dirk Steele a few moments ago. And a free kick to Chelsea. Pulisic is down on the ground, holding his right leg. And looks in a little bit of discomfort. And the trainers are on there for Chelsea. Whilst we got this stoppage, whilst we got this breaking play, Chris, let's have a... Well, it's actually it was not a foul. He's gone down. His legs just taking him... His weight of his legs just too much, and he's just gone down there. So it's actually a self-inflicted injury. But whilst we got this breaking play, Chris, your assessment of what's been a really competitive first half, and Chelsea really, at the end of it, as you pointed out earlier, winning the tactical battles so far.
Yeah, Tuchel's just funny enough looking at the pitch because the kind of ground went out from underneath Pulisic's foot there, so he's probably going to blame the pitch on that one. But in terms of the tactics, Tuchel has probably looked at how Middlesbrough have been set up over the last 10, 15 games, which is involving the high press. He's probably drilled it into his players. We're going to have to play under pressure quite close to our own goal, but once you get that first pass quickly out, you're going to be able to create a massive opportunity with a few quick passes. So he's set the team up perfectly, and at the moment that game plan has been executed to perfection. And Middlesbrough now sort of on the back foot. They're a little hesitant to push as far as they were initially in case they get caught a third time.
Yeah, absolutely. As we now go forward towards Bannigan, ball knocked forward here, and then the ball breaks to Kovacic. Kovacic goes away now, and here's number 35 now, Isaiah Jones. Has it on the right-hand side. Has to use Matt Crooks. Crooks inside to Johnny Alton, the 33-year-old former Leeds midfielder. And the ball now played in there. We're coming up towards the half-time interval here at the Riverside Stadium. We've played 45 minutes here, and we're into stoppage time. And in fact, I thought we'd blown for half-time. We haven't. It's one added minute. I was a bit off the mark there, a little bit. Free kick to Chelsea is the actual thing. So, fourth official, Rob Jones, has given 1 minute of added time at the end of the first half. Chris Wilder He's the mother of all-time half-time team talks here, as a lot of Middlesbrough fans making their way down the tunnel for half-time refreshment as the kick is up towards Lukaku, who got one of the goals. Ziyech got the second one. Here's Rooney, knocks the ball out of play. 20 seconds of the first half to go. A game that's been won so far on the tactical battles. Here's Howson, a former Leeds man, comes forward, but again dispossessed. It will be a Middlesbrough throw-in. I think there might just be enough time to take it, but plenty of food for thought on that man. Chris Wilder's mind at the moment, as we look at the Middlesbrough bench, back full of youngsters and experience, as the ball goes forward, and that will be into Edouard Mendy. Referee Portieri blows the half-time whistle, and there we are. So, a good first half for Chelsea if you're a Chelsea fan. Terrific goal there for Lukaku and Ziyech. Two wonderful breakout goals. Middlesbrough have huffed and puffed, but really haven't been able to blow the Chelsea house down as yet. We'll get thoughts from Chris, Stu, with Mike at half-time, but here at the Riverside, as we hand back to the studio, it's Middlesbrough 0, Chelsea 2. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, JB, and thank you, Chris, as well, for your part in that first half coverage there. As Middlesbrough are trailing 2-0 at the break, Lukaku and Ziyech, the two men on the score sheet. I'm going to run you through some other scores from today. Because earlier on, you would have heard Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 1. Bukayo Saka scoring for the Gunners and giving Mikel Arteta's men the 3 points to take back to North London. In the SPL, it was Aberdeen 3, Hibs 1, Celtic 4, Ross County 0, Hearts 2, Livingston 0, St Johnstone 2, Motherwell 1, and St Mirren 1, Dundee United 2. As for the Championship, it was Derby 1, Coventry 1, Sheffield United 2, Barnsley 0, Bristol City and West Brom, played out a 2-2 draw. Huddersfield 0, Bournemouth 3 was also a full-time as well. Hull were beaten at home 3-1 by Luton. Reading 1, Blackburn 0 was a full-time score, as is Stoke 2, Millwall 0, and Swansea 0, Birmingham 0 as well. Excuse me. Also, excuse me, I'll get my voice back in a minute. Cambridge 0, MK Dons is all League 1. Charlton 2, Burton 0. Also, Cheltenham 3, Wimbledon 1. Was also another full-time score, as was Crewe 0, Bolton Wanderers 1 as well. Also Fleetwood 0, Doncaster 0, and Gillingham 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Also Lincoln 0, Sunderland 0 as well. Oxford 1, Ipswich 1, Plymouth 4, Accrington 0, Portsmouth 0, Wickham 0, Rotherham 0, Shrewsbury 3. So big surprise there with Rotherham getting beaten convincingly at home in that one, and also Wigan 4, Morecambe 1 as well. And then as for League 2, it was Barrow 1, Carlisle 2, Bradford 1, Port Vale 2, Crewe 3, Swindon 1, Harrogate 1, Walsall 1, Leyton Orient 3, Rochdale 1, I should say. Northampton 0, Bristol Rovers 1, Oldham 0, Exeter 2, Salford 5, Scunthorpe 1, and Sutton 1, Tranmere Rovers 1 as well. And just quickly have a look through the National League as well. It was Aldershot 0, Kings Lynn 0, Barnet 0, Woking 2, Borehamwood and Grimsby and Bromley and Wrexham both finished 0-0. Chesterfield 1, Maidenhead 0, Dagenham 1, Notts County 2, Dover 0, Yeovil 2, Halifax 2, Torquay 0. There's a great game between Solihull Moors and Eastleigh, which finished 5-3 to the home side on that occasion. Southend 2, Altrincham 0, and also Stockport 4, Wealdstone 2 as well. So there's some scores for you there from today's action. And I'm just going to actually bring Chris back in on this first half as well, as Chelsea lead 2-0 at the break. And, is it deserved for you? Because, sort of sitting back and watching that game, I think it's pretty clear really to see that Chelsea have been pretty much deciding control of that first half.
Yeah, it is very much. It might not necessarily look at it possession-wise. Obviously, it was pretty evenly split, but I feel like Chelsea, they're keeping the ball, they're playing the ball at the back and letting Middlesbrough press them really far back to their own goal, and then trying to basically play a couple of passes round and over them, just so they end up having a massive numbers advantage when going forward. And that's how the first two goals came about. Nottingham Forest were pushing way up into Chelsea's penalty area. Couple of quick passes, and suddenly the midfield and the attackers have been completely cut out, and it's 3-on-4 or even more, and that's just how they've played it. And I think that's very much how Tuchel's looked at setting up the team today. He's basically probably drilled it into his players this week. You've got to learn to play under pressure because you're going to be pressed very highly. And then they've obviously been working on it to play it out quickly, a couple of quick passes, and away they go. And the counter-attacks that they've done today, they've got well, they should have had 3 if it wasn't for the goal line clearance from Dijksteel. But yeah, they've executed their game plan perfectly, and they are in control of that because they're allowing Middlesbrough essentially to press highly, and by doing that, they're unlocking the defence. So Chelsea very much dictating how this match is going.
I'm glad you said Middlesbrough at the end there as well, because you actually let Nottingham Forest slip in there a minute. So I actually thought for a second you picked up the wrong name badge and also went to the wrong ground.
Oh, my bad.
But no, it's all good.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help. They're all red Adidas kits this year, and I've been commentating on all of them so far. But yeah, Middlesbrough. Yes, sorry, my apologies. Middlesbrough very much have been pressing highly up, and Chelsea have been unlocking it by, as I said, the few quick passes around the pressing players, and it's just been a nightmare really for Borough. But it's very much the style that Chris Wilder plays. You know, it's kind of all or nothing really. So if they're going to score a few goals, so be it. But they're going to stick to it, and in a way, it's a bit like Bielsa at Leeds really, where they were playing that kind of, well, if we can see goals, so be it. We're going to score some as well. But so far, Chelsea have smothered any kind of attacking options that Borough have had. So I don't know what Wilder will do at halftime, but it'll be interesting to see if he does change it up, or whether they go, let's go for it. Just, you know, we might concede another goal or two. But at this point, Borough have nothing to lose.
That's right, and of course they are a Championship side coming up against a brilliant Chelsea side here as well. You know, very strong Chelsea side.
The world and European champions, aren't they?
So 100%. I was just about to mention that as well. And if you look at the players that are on the score sheet, Lukaku and Ziyech, and also Mason Mount in that first half as well, has got himself 2 assists, but he's looked pretty lively really as well. And he's always looked a danger anytime he's been in possession of the ball for me.
Well, yeah, the whole first goal was his work. He found the space. He drew Borough's left centre back as far away from his other two, leaving a massive gap for Lukaku to run into, and then played the perfect ball onto the 6-yard box, no man's land, where the goalkeeper either has to fully commit or not, and the defence can't really do anything about it because if they put a toe on it, it's in the back of their own net. Perfect delivery and easy for Lukaku to tap in. So. Yeah, it's inch perfect from Mason Mount, and he's probably been the standout player. He's been in and about it all over the place, and he's got a couple of assists to his name. And it's interesting that both the goals came after 15-minute periods of Borough basically trying to break through Chelsea's resolute defence, and then being caught napping on a counter-attack.
And I think if you're Chris Wilder now and Middlesbrough, they're yet to have a shot on target in this game as well. They've had 3 shots in anger, but neither of them, or none of those, I should say, have been efforts that have troubled Edouard Mendy and the Chelsea goal. So, that's really what they've got to improve on in the second half. Yeah,
they've just got. I mean, you've got to shoot to score. You've got to hit the target to score, and they've done neither so far, really. So, but as I said, it's a very different task trying to. Yes, they've got Sarr playing at left back, but the other 3 players, I mean, Thiago Silva has won everything you could name at every stage, more or less. I think the only thing he's missing is a World Cup with Brazil, which, to be honest, I don't think he'll lose too much sleep about, quite frankly. But him in itself, you've got Azpilicueta, who has won everything you can possibly win at Chelsea. It's defensively, they are as solid as you could possibly get. Rudiger's nothing to be sniffed at. You've got Kovacic sitting in front of that. And, this is without, N'Golo Kante's on the bench available for them. If Chelsea want to shut up shop, they'll do it. But at the minute, they're just kind of playing into Middlesbrough's game. And, it's working. And until Middlesbrough can actually get a shot on target, because Mendy hasn't really had anything to do, they'll just keep playing like this. They'll dictate the pace. They'll let Borough do what they want with the ball. And they'll keep playing like this because they've now got the 2-goal cushion. so they can kind of let whatever happen in the second half, and as long as they don't concede, they're not going to have any complaints.
And when you look at this Middlesbrough bench as well, just having a little look here just for a minute. I know JB mentioned throughout the first half that he's thinking about, potentially Josh Coleman as a name that can come on, and I'm sure, probably be sooner rather than later for Chris Wilder to enter him into the fray, I should say.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, he obviously the excellent goal against Spurs last round out was superb, but it's difficult because. What do they do? Do they go all out attack, or do they try to shore it up at the back? Because you've got players that are capable defensively on the bench as well. Sol Bamba obviously came on late on previous round. In terms of attacking prowess, obviously, as you mentioned, Coleman, Duncan Watmore can be troublesome. He had a half-decent spell at Sunderland beforehand. But it's going to be difficult to sort of change how Borough play at this point. So it may just be a case of they just stick with what they're going for and they just go fully commit and go for it. At this point, it's going to be difficult for Wilder to really change the setup because when you go three at the back, it's really difficult to rearrange the team like that. So unless, of course, he goes slightly more defensive and commits the two wingers to be a 5 at the back rather than a 3, it'll be interesting. His team talk will be interesting because obviously he's somehow got to pick up the team because it's like you're trying everything that we've worked on and nothing's really happened. But again, he'll be saying, you're playing against the world champions. There were zero expectations going into this. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah, even though obviously they did beat Manchester United and Tottenham, that is it. They are still underdogs in this game. And if you look at this Chelsea bench as well, if Middlesbrough start to really go for it and try and cause them a few issues of their own, then of course they can look at bringing on Timo Werner or Kai Havertz. They're players there that are certainly not to be sniffed at as well.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Alonso, Kante, Werner. Trevor Chalobah's a decent player these days. Definitely, he's done his little apprenticeship on his loans and proven himself a solid player. Yeah, Kai Havertz as well, Ross Barkley. They've got so much talent available on the bench. If they need to change it up, they will do. And I dare say Tuchel will probably later on in the game. It depends how Middlesbrough come out the traps at the start of the second half. If they come out quickly and get an early goal, you'll probably see a quick, throw Kante on to steady the ship. But Tuchel's got all the time and all the cards this second half. So again, very much a case of Chelsea can dictate what happens second half because they're basically in control. They've got the 2-goal lead. It's in their hands to win this game, and they can also throw it away. So it'll be interesting to see this first sort of 10-15 minutes of this second half are going to be crucial because whoever gets the next goal is going to have all the momentum. And if Borough get that first goal, the Riverside will be rocking and anything can happen at that point.
Absolutely, yeah. It'd be interesting to see, if that does happen and Middlesbrough will decide to get the next goal to make a bit of a game of it in the second half. So we'll just have to wait and see how it all pans out. I'm not too sure whether there'll be any subs really at halftime, but just looking through here as well. Of course, Chelsea have the young man Vale on the bench as well. Who, if they continue in this vein of form, you might even see him for a little bit of time towards the end of the game if they do kind of continue to put Middlesbrough to the sword and maybe go on and get another goal or two in the second half.
Yep, it's certainly possible if Middlesbrough keep going the way they are, then it will create more opportunities for Chelsea to hit them with that quick sucker punch that they've done twice already. So do you stick? Do you twist? This is what these managers are paid for. They're paid to make the tactical decisions that make the difference. So we'll see if Chris Wilder can come up with some magical plan for the second half.
And of course, we'll be back with JB in a few minutes as well once we get any indication that the two sides are going to be back out. But just looking here now at the championship table, Middlesbrough are currently in 8th in the division in their own league. And of course, as you mentioned, being 9 unbeaten as well. So they are very much in the mix for the playoffs as well. So that's going to be their aim for the remainder of the season, whatever happens in the next 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, this is kind of it's a no-lose situation, really. They've already had a ridiculously good cup run. If it ends here, and Chelsea are contenders to win this tournament. By the way, it's, as I said, they've won a lot. They've already won 2 trophies this year in the World Cup and the Super Cup. I know they're not mega trophies, but still trophies nonetheless. There's no shame going out to these guys. To do that alongside a promotion push, it's hard work. And it's, if you make a deep cup run whilst getting promoted at the same time. It's an incredible achievement. So as much as they might be disappointed that they might go out today, they could potentially have bigger fish to fry in the Championship, where they could get back to the Premier League, which is ultimately the aim. That's the whole point why they hired Chris Wilder, because he did it with Sheffield United. So, it's this next 45 minutes, just take it as it is. Enjoy it, regardless of what happens. But this is very much Chelsea's game to throw away. It's for Borough, this is a free hit from this point.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your insight there as well. We are going to be getting back underway in a second, so it's the perfect time to bring JB back in as well. And also, Chris is going to continue to work alongside him throughout the second half as well. So, as we were touching on there, Middlesbrough 0, Chelsea 2 at the break. And let's see what Middlesbrough can do. We've been able to make a bit of a game of it now in the second half.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back to the banks of the River Tees, where days turned to dusk, basically. Chris and myself just lapping it up there. And, I've just been hearing a lot of banter from Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer that Shearer's never won the cup and everything else. Boaster, I was away at half time. That a long way to go. Still 45 minutes for Middlesbrough to come back from the dead, as it were. 2-0. It's still anyone's for the taking. I'll remind you of the two teams in a second, because here's Mount on the ball now for Chelsea. Finds Loftus-Cheek. Here's Kovacic now, right towards the edge of the area. Good stop again from number 35 from Tyre Jones. Now here comes Aaron Connolly, the Irishman, trying to knock the ball over the halfway line. That Loftus-Cheek cooks that out, chips it forward towards Pulisic, who's onside. Can he keep it in by the byline? He can. And Middlesbrough get possession of the ball. No changes from either side. So Middlesbrough 3-5-2 with Lumley in goal. And they're sticking with the back three of Dirk Steele, McNair, and Sol Bamba, in fact, has come on for Dale Fry. And it's Jones, Crooks, Howson, Tavernier, and Taylor with Balogun and Connolly up front. Chelsea with Mendy in goal. Aspilicueta, Thiago Silva, Antonio Rudiger, and Young Sarr in the back. Loftus-Cheek and Kovacic, the two holders. Ziyech, Mount, and Pulisic, three-man midfield with Romelu Lukaku up front. Just to remind you, the referee tonight is Paul Tierney from Wigan. The two assistants, Lee Betts and James Mannering. Don't tell him, Pike. I had to get that gag in. And Robert Jones, the fourth official. I had to get that Dad's Army gag in. I couldn't in the first half. Everything was just too quick. So, yes, James Mannering, one of the referee's assistants there. No relation to Captain Mannering, of course, but all the officials so far. Paul Tierney, a man who I criticised on Facebook last week for being a cheat, when he quite harshly sent off Nathan Collins in Burnley's 2-0 reverse at Brentford. Well, I don't think he can be classed as that today. It's fair to say he's done okay so far, and it takes a lot for me to praise referees, because I want them to referee to good standards. I've got my own ideas on how well a referee, how high a referee should be refereeing a game, how big a standard I am, but that's just me. I just want to see a good open game of football, like we all do here at the Riverside. It's 500 Chelsea supporters who bought tickets before the restrictions were placed on them by the UK government following the awful scenes. And as Middlesbrough take the free kick quickly, this is Jones, Tyre Jones, number 35, into Tavernier. Free kick already taken. And remember, Sol Bamba, what a remarkable recovery he made. He was out for the game for a long time when he had that awful testicular cancer, and he had to recover from that, and then had to regain fitness. And he's just put in a brilliant slide tackle to stop Romelu Lukaku going forward. And that just shows the character of the man, Sol Bamba. A terrific character, and we need characters like him in the game. Very committed guy. And from all those setbacks he's had health-wise, isn't it great, Chris, to see him out on a football field and doing as well as that just then?
Yeah, he's a superb centre back, and it's great to have him back. It shows how much of a fighting spirit he's got, and he's a very popular man in the football world these days.
A very, very popular man, and a tremendous asset to Middlesbrough as they look to get back to the Premier League. Dirk Steele going forward for Barry. If I can get the next goal, it will make an interesting second half. That is for sure. We'll get an update from the rugby in a minute from the Aviva and see what's been happening with Ireland against Scotland. Just to remind you that Wales lost by 21 points to 20 in Cardiff this afternoon. Italy won their first Six Nations game for 10 years. That is some achievement for the Italians. Just to win a Six Nations game for them is an achievement in itself. Never mind a Grand Slam or a Triple Crown. But to win a game against the Welsh, who were the reigning Six Nations champions until today, well, a big feather in their cap. Anyway, here's Sarr for Chelsea on the left-hand side. 2-0 Chelsea lead. Lukaku and Ziyech the goal scorers in the first half.
It's a good time to be Italian, I think. They've done all right in the Formula One earlier today as well. Both Ferraris doing well.
Yeah.
And, of course, they are the European champions in internationals.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully they'll get a good season out of those Ferraris after a couple of lean years as Lukaku goes in on that cross and it's headed away by Sol Bamba, big bulky man. As I said, one of the game's characters. Of course, came to prominence at Leicester when they were in the Championship many, many years ago. Anyway, here's a chance here for number 25 to come forward. Matt Crooks, the top scorer with 9. Tries to play in Barrigan. Barrigan shoots and he's over the top. And, it was a half chance really for Barrigan, who's only got 2 goals since being here this season on loan from Arsenal. But as I said, it would have took a lot for him to have scored from just outside the area. And in reality, Chris, that was no more than a quarter chance.
Well, if you don't shoot, you don't score. But if you don't hit the target, you also don't score. So that's very much half a dozen of one and half a dozen of the other. It was a bit of a half chance, really, which was always going to be difficult to score. Let's be honest. He had the entire Chelsea defence closing in on him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Thiago Silva did his level best to put him off. Just to remind you, the substitutes. Obviously, Bamba's already been used. Obviously, Dale Fry has gone off there. Daniels, Chelsea have left. Middlesbrough have left. I'll just break off for a second. Ball played back to Lumley, who lets that go for a goal kick. So the remaining subs for Middlesbrough: Daniels, Hall, Osana, Peltier, Duncan Watmore, and Bowler and young Coleman, Josh Coleman, who got the winner in the last round against Tottenham, and Boyo Muntz are the substitutes. I think that's how it's all pronounced. McNair's got a problem as well, and Middlesbrough can ill afford another injury here, considering that they've got a tough running in the Championship. Just remind you of the Chelsea subs. Bettinelli is the substitute goalkeeper. No place for Arisa Balaga. Alonso, Kante,
this isn't a good one, as the field, the trainers are signalling for a substitution. I think McNair's problem is a bad one.
I've just noticed that. I've just finished the substitutes. Chalabar, Barkley, Kennedy, Havertz and Vale. And it looks as if Middlesbrough will be forced into making another change here. Already had to take off Dale Fry, probably for tactical reasons. I'm not sure whether he picked up an injury at half-time. I couldn't see Dale Fry having a knock.
I think the Fry one is very much a swapping Sol Bamba in to deal with Lukaku, because Lukaku was just manhandling him like he was a small child.
That's actually that's a good point.
I very much think that's a tactical change physically.
Yeah.
Because Lukaku has been Chelsea have been able to unlock the Borough defence by simply playing a long ball over the top for Lukaku to control and let his wingers overlap him, and that's been working really well. So I think that's the counteraction to that one, which is put on Bamba, who is not a small man in his own way. So that'll be a truly enthralling battle between those two.
Well, Lee Peltier is going to take McNair's place now. That's a real body blow for Chris Wilder in the midst of a promotion campaign. Right in the hunt for the playoffs, as Mike corrected me during the halftime interval. They're now down to 8th from 7th. At the time when I did the notes, it was last night when I started doing the notes. Chelsea are 3rd, incidentally, with 59 points. Funnily enough, Middlesbrough have the same amount of points, but of course, the Championship, you play twice as many games as you do in the Premier League. Premier League, you play 38 games. Championship, 46, and if you're in the playoffs, 48, or 49 rather, because it's a 2-leg semi-final and a final at Wembley. Anyway, here's Jones now on this right-hand side. Jones's cross. Oh, that's a feeble cross. Badly sliced with the side of the right foot. If Middlesbrough to get back into this game, Chris, Balogun and Jones need to put in better crosses than that, because quite frankly, that last cross there from Jones was a complete and utter mess up.
Well, Jones he's been up for it when he's got the ball at his feet, but in terms of crossing the ball, he hasn't been at the gates at all. So if he can just put in a couple of decent balls, it can cause all kinds of problems. But at the minute, his delivery hasn't been up to it, and not really sure. Maybe Duncan Watmore could be the answer to that question, perhaps. I'm sure Chris Wilder's already weighing it up, but as you can see here, not Nottingham Forest. I keep calling them Forest. Middlesbrough. They both play in red shirts and white Adidas stripes. It does my head in. I've been covering Forest as well a lot this season, so apologies, Forest and Borough fans, for any offence caused. But Middlesbrough pressing high up again, and Chelsea, as you can see, straight away trying to counter-attack with a couple of quick passes. But Borough are smart to it this time.
I've got a slight confession. When I was recording the rugby for Trevor the other day, I actually called France Wales, which you want to sing, because it took me about 8 takes to get that commentary right. But that's the trouble when you record commentary. When you're doing it live, it's better because you're on the edge. When you record commentary, you relax that a little bit too much. Anyway, back to the game, and it's CH now in the centre of the Borough half. Feeds it out to Pulisic. He's inside the penalty box. The next goal is going to be important if it comes, because if Chelsea get it, I think that's cup tie over. As that cross comes in, it will be kept in by Mason Mount in the England party for the upcoming internationals, of course. And of course, they have to play Maxwell Cornet and the Ivory Coast a week on Tuesday, as the shot comes in from Mount, gets a deflection and a corner kick to Chelsea in the 55th minute here on the TC Hub. It's JB and CW. To give us our proper names, Chris Whiteman and John Stuttard, your commentary team. Tomorrow it's Paul James and Trevor Sports with you at the St Mary's Stadium for Southampton, Manchester City. That's going to be a good tie, I think, that one. And then Russ Vernon, who's had a wedding today, will be in Nottingham, not too far from him, to make a journey from Rotherham. He'll be watching Nottingham Forest's latest giant killing attempt as they take on the mighty Liverpool. As the corner comes in towards Rooney. Of course, Liverpool going for that quadruple, very much in the title race in the Champions League quarterfinals, and already bagged the Carabao Cup as well. It's their first big test away from Anfield in the FA Cup. The first 3 times they've had have been away from home. Here's number 25 on the ball now, Matt Crooks. Crooks has got Jones breaking forward. Now, this is where Jones has got to just get his head up and get a decent ball in. Oh, again, he tried to go low, but it was completely telegraphed. Ball out for a throw-in. And Middlesbrough now just got to turn up the pressure. This is where people like Johnny Howson just need to take the game by the scruff of the neck and use their vast experience. 33-year-old Johnny Howson needs to really use some of that big game experience. Of course, he was in the lead side that shocked Manchester United all the way back in 2010, of course, at Old Trafford, when Jermaine Beckford scored the winning goal that day. He's got experience of all these big games. He just needs to utilise it to the younger Middlesbrough players, I think, now. But another opportunity went begging there for Jones, as we see Loftus-Cheek being fouled. 57 gone, it's still 2-0 Chelsea. And here's a couple of substitutions for you. Duncan Watmore, I think, as you said, it's going to come on. Taylor is being withdrawn. Bowler is one of the changes. And I think Watmore is the other one. Yeah, Duncan Watmore started his career at Sunderland. He's now replaced... So it's Connolly who's gone, and Watmore. Connolly and Taylor have gone, Bowler and Watmore on. So what do you reckon of those 2 substitutions, Chris?
Well, I did think that Duncan Watmore would be introduced at some point. He's definitely somebody who could make a difference at this point, add a bit of pace and width to the side. But the other substitution, well, it looks like it's just a case of trying to keep the team fresh as the offside flag goes up. But,
offside, yep.
It's kind of his final roll of the dice, really. He's used 2 subs already due to, obviously, took Fry off for Bamba as a tactical change. One was forced by an injury.
Well, he does have one more. So he does have one more up his sleeve, of course, and we might even see Josh Coleman. I've been looking forward to seeing him in action, because the match winner in the extra time period against Tottenham in the last round.
I'd give it another 15 minutes before they think about introducing him. He's very much a late game kind of player. So if Middlesbrough can get a goal between now and then, who knows?
Well, they proved whatever happens tonight, though, Middlesbrough have proved in this cup run there've been no flash in the pans. It's no mean feat when you knock out Manchester United in the 4th round and then Tottenham here in the 5th. So they've proved certainly more than one occasion that they can mix it with the very best. And of course, they had a bit of a scare in the 3rd round, you may remember. They were 2-1 down at Mansfield and came back to win 3-2. So they have a habit of coming back late in games and late in the day. They stuck a late victory there at Mansfield in round 3. Chelsea beat Chesterfield 5-1 on the way to the 5th round, quarterfinals. Then, Chelsea have not been too good themselves. They needed extra time and a penalty save from Marisa Balaga to see off Plymouth Argyle. And as the ball is crossed in there, helps. Oh, that's a bit unlucky for Barrett. Asperqueta hit the corner flag and bounced out for the throw-in. And that's not what they wanted. Bowler back again. The Tavernier. Bowler again. Gets to the byline on the left-hand side. Cross deflects, but it falls nicely for Mendy. And, of course, they had a scare, of course, at Kenilworth Road in the last round against Luton. Twice behind, but just when they needed it, Werner and Lukaku came up trumps. And this is a concern now for Chelsea. Big games coming up, none more so than Real Madrid in the next week, couple of weeks or so. Busy period for all big teams and all teams at any level at the moment. And the last thing Chelsea need at this point, Chris, is an injury to Asperqueta. And he took a bang on the shin there.
Well, you'd think the shin pads would take most of the shock off of that one, but it's whether that back stud has actually gone into him or not. Shin pad obviously doesn't go all the way around the back of your shin, it's just covering the front. So, which naturally, of course, when it's around the back, it's not your shin, it's your calf. That's a simple bit of biology there for you.
And all for free, courtesy of TC Hub, where we're at the 60th minute mark, and it's still 2-0 if you've just joined us to Chelsea. Goals in the first half from Romelu Lukaku and Hakim Ziyech in the first half. We won within the first 31 minutes, incidentally. Here's Asperqueta. I think he's recovered okay from that little knock. I thought it looked a bit worse than what it actually was. Footballers these days can be very deceptive human beings. Here's Kovacic now getting it forward. And, a meaningless stat there from the BBC there. Who wants to know about completed passes? Unless you're a complete anorak, why show that sort of stat? It's those things that annoy me. Absolutely annoy me. That's why I don't give out too many stats during commentaries, because I just don't see the point. It's been a good game of football. If you're into your statistics, fair play. But if you're not, if you're somebody like me, I don't need to be educated about football. I've been in it for 30 years, as a supporter and a commentator. Anyway, here's Rooney now for Chelsea. Ball not forward towards Pulisic, the American international. Here's Sarr, who's actually had a decent game at left back. And of course, speaking of decent games, Chris will have to get his thinking cap on in the next 20 minutes or so, because we have a player in the match from my commentary services, of course, to be chosen by him around about the 86th minute to 90th minute mark. So, Chris, get your thinking cap on, sunshine, because you'll need to choose a player of the match a little bit later on, as Chelsea look to build forward and get that killer third. Here's Kovacic, the Croat, finds Sarr. Sarr again. Rudiger, just one or two misplaced passes from Antonio Rudiger there, but didn't come to much bother there for Chelsea. Middlesbrough just need to be a bit more coy when they're trying to press. Just referees allowed play to go on. Advantage play. There was a foul. Kovacic plays it forward, but the advantage is gone. They did have a good situation, but Kovacic misplaced the pass. And here's Jones. Now this is where Jones needs to get his head up and really play that ball in towards Watmore. But Thiago, stout as you like, comes across using his vast 37 years experience. And 37 years and all them years of experience at the top level to get across and deny Duncan Watmore. Chelsea have a throw, 63 gone. How do you think this next half an hour is going to play out from both sides' point of view now, Chris?
Well, Chelsea are just going to be looking to keep it simple. Don't do anything overcomplicated that might create any risks, and whatever you do, don't give the ball away at the edge of your own box, which is what they're very much keeping to. Whereas Borough, they've got to keep pushing and try and create chances. At the minute, they don't have that. They're not even creating chances at the minute. They're getting to the byline, but they're not putting the ball in the box. It's either being blocked or they're just taking too long to think about it. So just get the ball, get it to the byline, get it in the box, see what happens.
I think the difference is that I think in simple terms, it's been the end product really that's let Bury down in a lot of ways. And Chelsea have been very good on the final third, it's got to be said, but you'd expect that on paper from Chelsea. They're not in the top four of the Premier League for nothing. They're no mugs, Chelsea. When you get to the last stage of any competition, regardless of who's left in it, there's never any mugs in this in any competition, regardless of the level of opponent you get. But Kovacic now, the Croat, shows some remarkable good skills to get away from Tavernier, who bites back at him. And in fact, it was Dirk Steele rather who bit back at him. And in fact, it's a Middlesbrough free kick because there was a foul there on Matt Crooks, the top scorer, and a free kick given to Borough. But a good tackle there from Dirk Steele rather than Tavernier, as I thought it was. Very hard with these Football League letters and numbers to tell which number's which. I don't know what's worse. The Arsenal players wearing white numbers on white shirts in the Nottingham Forest game, or the names and the numbers of the Football League on the back. I don't know which two's worse. I don't know which is worse. But at least the Middlesbrough fans are trying to drum up a bit of atmosphere, and good on them, because Bury right now need a 12th man. Here's Lumley, kicks out towards the left-hand side. And here's Dirk Steele, takes it down with his right foot, cushioned it down. Had to use Sol Bamba. Bamba gets it across here. And now this is going to be an interesting last sort of few minutes now, next few minutes, because if Chelsea concede and Middlesbrough are back in business, it's going to be a throw-in to Chelsea. Although I did think there may have been a possible foul there on Tavernier, but not to be. Chris Wilder is a very anxious man, but he knows this result will not define their season. The bigger picture for them is all about getting out the Championship and into the promised land and the milk and honey that the Premier League can bring to a club like Middlesbrough. Been out the top flight for 4 years now, 4 or 5 years. And one season in 2016-17. And under Aitor Karanka, who proved himself to be just a flash in the pan when he left Middlesbrough, went to Birmingham without great success, and has been to other clubs without being a success. So in a lot of ways, Karanka's time at Middlesbrough proved that he was just a little bit of a one-trick pony in terms of his management. And we don't hear much about Karanka these days, funnily enough, which is not a great surprise. Anyway, here come Middlesbrough now, looking to get Balogun in, but he can't be found. Chelsea have been very professional in the way they've stuck to their task. But so far, here's Watmore on the edge of the area. Middlesbrough just need to get a chance, a good half a chance maybe, get a lucky break of some kind and just get themselves back in there. The onus will be on the likes of Watmore, Bamba and Johnny Alston in particular to try and inspire the rest of the team here to try and make a game of it now for the next 23 minutes. We've had 67 minutes here in the FA Cup quarter-finals. It's 2-0 to Chelsea here. 2 more live quarter-finals tomorrow on the TCM. 3 o'clock kick-off. We'll be on the air 2:55. Russ will be your host from the City Ground. But we'll just break off for a second. Here's Dirk Steele. Chance here for... Oh, and it's Watmore who tried to chip it over with his right foot, and Duncan Watmore just couldn't get the execution right. He tried to hit the target. He tried to chip it, but he just couldn't get the elevation. And in the end, it goes sailing over the Chelsea bar for a goal kick.
Yeah, it was an ambitious effort. Mendy was standing just on the edge of his 6-yard area there for whatever reason, so he spotted an opportunity, but it's really hard to execute a chip from there, as Timo Werner's making his way on the pitch for Pulisic, and N'Golo Kante has come on for Kovacic. So, yes, as I said at half-time, very much a case of, right, we've got our 2-goal lead, let's just have a bit of security in front of that, and Kante is the perfect answer for that one.
Yes, and in the Six Nations, Ireland have now stretched their lead to 26 points to 5 over a very lacklustre Scottish side. So Ireland doing their bit in the terms of trying to win the Six Nations, and now once they've finished in Dublin, 8 o'clock kick-off for England against or France against England in Paris. It'll be a 9 o'clock kickoff French time. And England will hope to do Ireland a big favour in terms of the Six Nations Championship. Meanwhile, in the football, cross from Jones, too close to Mendy, but better football from Middlesbrough. Unfortunately, the end product again wasn't there, but I have to say, from a build-up point of view, Chris, again, lovely football from Middlesbrough.
Yeah, this time Jones definitely better on his delivery, but this time it was the wrong decision. If he puts that up in the air, Mendy's having all kinds of trouble stopping that, but he played it across the ground, and it was an easy catch for the goalkeeper at that point. Yeah,
Mendy's a very difficult keeper to beat, as Liverpool found out 3 weeks ago in the Carabao final. He made one of the best Wembley saves of all time when he stopped Sadio Mane. First of all, he saved well from Keita, and then he pulled off a Jim Montgomery and Gordon Banks save all in one. But he somehow managed to tip a Sadio Mane rebound over the top of the bar. It was one of the best saves I think I've ever seen at Wembley in a cup final. It was just unbelievable, and what a privilege that was for me to be on the microphone at that point. One of the best 0-0 cup finals I've ever had the privilege of commentating on. Anyway, here's CH now for Chelsea. Looking to feed Lukaku, who's just drifted towards the right-hand side here. He's got Sol Bamba for company. Two big, bulky lads taking on each other here. Ziyech now, and he'll have to take on Bamba. Poor cross from Ziyech, too close to the goalkeeper, Lumley. And he gets Jones away now down on this right-hand side. Middlesbrough fans trying to will their team on. 20 minutes left to play here at the Riverside Stadium. If Middlesbrough can score twice in that time, we will have an extra half an hour. But as things stand, it looks like Chelsea are heading into the semi-final draw, which incidentally will take place tomorrow. Incidentally, we have two live matches. I'll just go back. Trevor and Paul. This time they'll be wheeled out as a commentary duo, but they have worked with each other before because they were alongside me for the Nottingham Forest Arsenal match in January. They'll be in the combox together. Russ will be hosting from the City Ground, and at Southampton it'll be Trevor and Paul James. And then tomorrow, Russ Vernon commentating and presenting from the City Ground on Nottingham Forest, the late game, Nottingham Forest against Liverpool, the quadruple chasers in action. But that'll be a tricky test against the tricky Tuareg for Jurgen Klopp's men. And they're all coming up, and plus we'll have a recorded commentary on Monday night of Everton's clash with Crystal Palace. So we'll, in one form or another, we'll have all four quarterfinals for you, or on the TCM. And of course, we'll have the semi-finals live, and of course the final. It goes without saying as well, late in May. Anyway, the ball out of play, and we've had 71 and a half minutes. The Middlesbrough fans not giving up, willing their team on, and there's all sorts of. Look at that! There's a guy there with a.
I do love the Red Faction fan base that Middlesbrough have. It's something that you'd expect to see in Germany. That kind of raucous fan group. They've got their flags, megaphones. They're always making noise. It's fantastic.
If only we could.
More clubs should be like that.
If only Burnley could do something like that. I was down at the turf the other week, and it was the atmosphere was like a church, quiet and stale. Well, anyway, less about them. Let's concentrate on this free kick for Chelsea. But nice to see the Borough fans still getting behind their team, even though they're 2 goals in arrears, as Mount takes this free kick from the left-hand side. He might be 3 in arrears. No, good save from Werner by Joe Lumley, diving away to his right-hand side. That's a brilliant save from the goalkeeper. And for the moment anyway, that save keeps Middlesbrough in the FA Cup, as I said, for the moment anyway. Good save there.
Yeah, perfect delivery from Mount again. He's been providing all the ammunition for Chelsea to score today, and they should have got a third there, but Lumley made a fantastic save.
Could that be an inspiration for Middlesbrough, for a Middlesbrough comeback, I wonder? But we'll see. Chelsea still have a corner, however, and it's Hakim Ziyech with it. Deeper one this time. Header was won by Big Thiago, number 6. It's a goal kick to Middlesbrough. And look at them. Look at the Middlesbrough fans.
That goal.
They are absolutely jumping and shouting and singing. It's almost as if they're 2-0 up rather than the opposite way around. And I love that. I love it. This is what English football was there to be. This is what English football should be about. And credit to the Middlesbrough fans. And here's Josh Coleman. Here he is. Super sub in the last round. Could he do it again this round? Josh Coleman, 19 years old, born. Would you believe it? This is something that Trevor didn't tell you in the last round. He was born in Richmond in North Yorkshire. A nice, lovely, sleepy little upmarket town in the Yorkshire Dales. Only half hour's drive from the Riverside Stadium. Come through the academy. 4 goals this season, including that goal, of course, in the last round, which took them through. And here he is now looking to get through with Watmore. No foul there on Watmore, so play on it is. And here's Werner. Out comes Lumley, and he boots it away nonchalantly with the right foot. And it's headed away by Sarr. And into touch it will be for a Middlesbrough throw-in. 74 minutes gone. We're into the last 16 minutes, plus any injury time added on. Middlesbrough 0, Chelsea 2 in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, sponsored, of course, by Emirates. And we're now getting into the stage where it's squeaky bum time, as a certain Mr. Ferguson used to say. And, well, if Josh Coleman can repeat his heroics in the last round, we'll certainly have a good cup tie in our hands here for the remaining quarter of an hour. Free kick to Middlesbrough, just shy of halfway. Now, well, they've used all their 5 substitutes now. Wilder cannot use any more jokers unless team miraculously forced extra time, because you can use an extra sub in extra time. And in fact, Court was on his soapbox again. And why don't they use 5 substitutes in the Premier League? And again, he picked Burnley for the criticism. I don't understand why he does that, but there you go. But they use the 5 subs for the FA Cup. They don't for the league. It's still the standard 3 substitutes, certainly for the top flight anyway. Coleman wants a 3 kick, but he's not going to get it now. Or is he? No, I don't think he is. I think it's a Chelsea ball anyway. So we've got a quarter of an hour to play then. I think he's fouled ZH there. Although, to be fair, Chris, it was 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
That looks more like a foul on Coburn, to be honest, the way he was tripped up by ZH, but nothing given. Move on.
I don't even think it was a 3 kick. In fact, I think it was a throw-in, funnily enough, to Chelsea. But it's Middlesbrough ball now, and they haven't got time to waste now. Here's Tavernier flicking it round the corner. What more? Coburn really needs to get into the penalty area, I believe. He might just do so now. Here goes Bolek. Can he get it through to Coburn? Not this time. Got a deflection on the attempted cross. Falls kindly to Edouard Mendy in the Chelsea goal. So we've had 76 minutes here at the Riverside. Still 2-0 to Chelsea in this quarter-final of the FA Cup. Remember, a place in the semi-finals at Wembley is the prize for the winners this evening. Here's the ball played forward there by Crooks. And here's Jones. Jones down the right-hand side, looking to take on 2 Chelsea opponents and absolutely take them. And here goes Sam Solbamba, the big bulky lad. Here's a chance now for Crooks. Gets the cross in. Did that go behind? Middlesbrough, to be fair to Middlesbrough, actually, they didn't appeal that, actually. Mendy must have kept that one in play. I would like to see another look at this again, but I don't think there was too many appeals from Middlesbrough players anyway. Did he keep that in? Yeah, I think he did.
He might have been out of bounds, but the ball wasn't.
No. And to be fair to the Borough, and it's very refreshing to see that Borough didn't appeal that even, because in a Premier League game, you can bet your bottom dollar that the attacking team would have tried to claim everything. But
well, set pieces haven't really been working for Borough so far, so I dare say they weren't fussed about not getting a corner there.
Well, they need something now in the remaining 13 minutes plus injury time to give themselves a fighting chance in this cup quarter final if they have got any ambitions of going to Wembley for one of those semi-finals. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it means if Borough do go out, it means Nottingham Forest are the only Football League team that will be left in the FA Cup. The rest will all be Premier League outfits. Don't forget, Southampton, Manchester City, will have that for you at 5-3 tomorrow afternoon with Russ, Trevor and Paul James. And then Russ himself at the City Ground from around about, I think it's a 6:15 kickoff or something like that. I don't know. I don't know, it's just after 6 o'clock anyway. He'll be on the air with Nottingham Forest against Liverpool, and that could be a real tasty one. That's for sure. It's Mendy. Oh, my goodness me. He almost showed too much of that to Duncan Watmore, who just missed out in the nick of time. And in fact, a free kick has been awarded, in fact, to Chelsea for a foul on Ruben Loftus-Cheek. My goodness me. Mendy there, Chris, was almost dicing with death there.
Almost, but he was in control. I'm not really sure why the referee's given a free kick here, to be honest. It's a bit of a strange one. Howson, I would say, is justifiably aggrieved with that decision.
It's a bad decision from Paul Tierney, if I'm being honest. Then, having looked at the replay, he's not a very good referee. I've said that before in the past, and it's not because Burnley have been harshly dealt with. It's, I've always said he's a bad ref, and he's one of those who are FIFA approved. So something must be right. FIFA have decided to use him, but the standard of refereeing in this country, it's not just Paul Tierney, by the way, it's the standard of refereeing in general has been appalling over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. Hence why they didn't have any English officials at the last World Cup. And there's a pretty good, strong possibility that history could be repeated again later on this year, of course, when the tournament goes to Qatar. Here's Kante, who's kept that in by the byline. Goes down in the area. Paul Tierney said no, carry on. It didn't even look like bolting or pointing to the spot. Here's Ziyech now again. Cut out again. Middlesbrough need to force a mistake and try and get some territory and make Chelsea think now for the remaining 10 minutes plus injury time. I would say that probably, I don't think there'll be too much in the way of stoppage time. It's been pretty free-flowing. Certainly in this second half. Not too much in the way of massive injuries. Anyway, here's Mount. So Lukaku inside the area. Back to Mount again. Mount scratch. Oh, brilliant defending. Still might fall for Burnham in the penalty area. Good block again by Sol Bamba on the 6-yard line. Brave defending that from the former Leicester defender. And, if that had gone in there, Chris, it would have been curtains for Middlesbrough. It still remains 2-0 with nearly 81 minutes gone of the second half on the TC up.
Tell you what, Sol Bamba will be sitting there going, why didn't you start me? He's been playing out of his skin this second half. And that particular block was superb as well. That's stopping a goal, that one. But he's marked Lukaku out of the game this second half. So why he didn't start in the first place, I will never know.
Well, you've answered my next question there. That's categorically, because whilst that was going on, Ziyech has gone off. Kennedy has come on. And so Kennedy now on, the forgotten man. Ball played up towards Werner, but I think he might have been offside. So he had to let that one go. Anyway, here's Middlesbrough now. 81 minutes of the game gone, and it's Middlesbrough 0, Chelsea 2. Jones looks for a willing runner here in Watmore. Rooney sticks to him like super glue and holds him off. That's out of play. Will be a goal kick for Chelsea. Good defending from Antonio Rudiger, who in the last couple of years has really come on as a defender in leaps and bounds. Certainly more so when Tuchel took over this time last year. He's really made himself a really tough proposition for potential attackers, as we see Kennedy there coming on. That's Ziyech, who's just walked off a couple of minutes ago. Of course, you can now be substituted in any part of the field. It's just so that the referee can keep the game flowing. I think that's a good move from the rule makers. Anyway, here's Kante now, playing it forward. Here's Lukaku inside the area. Mount is there, close at hand, but again, that man again, Sol Bamba, just booting it away there for Middlesbrough. Here's Jones. Bit surprised to get that. Did that come off the arm of a Chelsea player? No, it didn't. It's Kante now. 82 minutes gone. Still 2-0 to Chelsea in the FA Cup quarterfinals, live on the TC Hub and TC Hub 2 and Storm FM. Here's Kennedy. And also we're on Twitch as well, incidentally, as well as YouTube. Incidentally, of course, we're live via the Melon Streaming app. Check out their website at melonstreamingapp.com. Forgot to mention that tonight. That's how long I've not been doing live football. Anyway, here's a chance here for Sarr now. Sarr, good ball to Werner, who scored in the last round against Luton. Here's the ball set up there for Loftus-Cheek, and the ball deflects away. Now a chase on for Watmore, but again, he wants a free kick. It looked a certain foul there by Rooney, and I think the referee is giving it. Paul Tierney has actually, it took him about 3 minutes. It took him about 3 years to make that decision, Chris. But in the end, Middlesbrough do get the free kick, and there's going to be another substitution, incidentally. Lukaku has raced his run, and number 68, Vale, is going to take his place in the Chelsea lineup as Lukaku wearily makes his way off, but I think the referee should be telling him to get off straight away. Just looking at his goal again, that's a well-taken goal. That's a typical Lukaku goal, Chris, if ever you see one.
It is, yeah, but first half he was excellent, but second half he's been in Sol Bamba's back pocket, which I think is probably why that is being the change. But we're interested to see how Vale stands up against this defence, although Timo Werner is probably the leading striker at this point, so probably a little change of shape for Chelsea now.
Well, you've got a couple of minutes
at the front there, so
yeah,
still up front.
Looks like for like, and Chris will have to choose his player of the match. Now then, Coleman's got him behind. He's got one more in the middle. Can he get in there? One more. Good cross there by Coleman, but the goalkeeper, I think for the first time tonight, Edouard Mendy had a little spot above her. He got through it okay, but Josh Coleman showing what he's all about there, getting past his man down the left-hand channel and really whipping the Chelsea player for pace. And he's a 19-year-old youngster coming through the academy. And in that one movement, he showed what he was all about. I think Middlesbrough got a very good player for the future there, and somebody that Chris Wilder can really utilise to his advantage. Here he is again now on the ball. It's been very good on the attempts. Here's Coleman battling again. Middlesbrough have had one shot on target. Chelsea the 4. And Mike's been in my ear saying we need a player of the match in the next couple of minutes, Chris. So please get your thinking cap on, my friend, because we'll need a player of the match shortly. So Mike's been giving me a flea in the ear, so to speak. So 5 minutes to go.
Well, I can pick him now if you like.
Yeah, pick your man of the match if you've got it.
So it's got to go to Mason Mount because he's been the creative metronome for this team today. He's been stretching the back line all over the place. He's got the 2 assists to his name. He nearly had a third with the free kick, which ended up being nodded at near post and was saved. So he's had an excellent game in England international, and he can be very pleased with himself. Honourable mention, though, to Sol Bamba, because he is, as I say, he marked Lukaku out of the game in the second half, and given that he's only played in the second half, speaks volumes about how well he played.
Absolutely. I think that's a nice touch there from you towards Sol Bamba, and I think he's one of the great characters. But it's Mason Mount, who's our man of the match in association with commentary services, or player of the match now, as we have to say now in these very, very woke times. Unfortunately, I still think it should be man of the match, and I'm an old timer, but hopefully you're not too offended by the term man of the match. Anyway, you listening at home, but Mason Mount, I think a well-deserved player of the match. I've got to be honest, but Sol Bamba's had a great second half, and on another day, if he started the game, Chris, as we see a foul there on Loftus-Cheek. On another day, if he had started, though, Chris, and he put in a display like that, I think he would have been right up there for player of the match for sure. As Canty knocks the ball forward, here's a chance possibly for Vale, but Jones was there, and Lumley, that wasn't a pass back. It was a tackle there, not a pass back. We've got about 3 minutes to go. But as I said, going back to the Sol Bamba point, Chris Wilder now must have him. Certainly with a championship running now, he has to have it up in utmost for his mind for the next championship game, because they're going to need him now for the running, because it's going to be a hard 2 months.
As we said, with the way that the Lukaku plays, you would have thought Sol Bamba should have been straight in the starting lineup, but for whatever reason he went with Fry. Fry got out of the frying pan and into the fire with that one. I pardon the pun, but he got absolutely manhandled all over the place. Scored a goal, obviously. Lost his man, couldn't keep with him. Whereas Bamba's come on here and kept him completely quiet to the point where he's been subbed off. So certainly a question that has been answered for Chris Wilder in terms of Sol Bamba's performances. He certainly deserves a run in the team after this performance.
Well, he's got to put him in mind for the next championship match. Anyway, Bowler's been booked, incidentally, I think for the foul on Loftus-Cheek earlier. So he's just been confirmed by TV as being booked. I'll be interested to see what the TV give as man of the match, incidentally, because they obviously have the official vote. We have an unofficial vote on the TCO, but I think it's a good choice that Chris has picked. Another throw-in now to Chelsea. But we've got a couple of minutes left, and I don't think there's any way back for Middlesbrough now. But assessing the game, and of course assessing the Middlesbrough run. I mean, you were there for the last round against Tottenham where Josh Coleman scored that late winning goal. In fact, a free kick has been awarded. But looking at it now, was it a step too far maybe tonight for Middlesbrough, considering that Chelsea are a team wounded animal with everything that's been going on off the pitch?
Well, as much as you say wounded animal, they are still playing well, Chelsea. As Thiago Silva gets player of the match, which, to be fair, defensively they have been solid as well. So I can agree with that kind of decision as well. But Mount created the 2 goals, and without those 2 goals, they're not winning this match. But yeah, as much as you want to say wounded animal, as offside, it's not going to count.
Yeah, offside.
Referee's eventually blown his whistle, took his time. As much as Chelsea are wounded animal off the pitch, they've been in good form all rounds. And for Borough, I think they might have done a few things differently if they had a bit of hindsight. I think Jones in particular can probably look at his performance and think he could have done a lot better with his deliveries. A lot of the time it wasn't making it past the first man. Chris Wilder will probably think I should have started Sol Bamba. So there's a couple of things that Borough will probably see that they could have done better. But at the same time, you know, if you're feeling like you could have got a result against champions of the world and Europe, then you're onto a good thing. And this, if anything, they can just put it down to experience and use it as a learning curve for their push for promotion this year. Because if they do get promoted, games like this are going to be coming at them thick and fast.
Yeah, well, it's a learning curve for them. In the Six Nations International, it's finished at the Aviva Stadium. Ireland have won 26 points to 5 against Scotland, so they've done their bit to Ireland in terms of trying to win the Six Nations Championship. We're going to have 3 added minutes at the end of the second half, but it's been a good quarter-final to watch anyway. Here is Jones now for Middlesbrough now. Can they finish at least with a flourish, maybe get a goal back and just make it a little bit more of a nervier finish for Chelsea, I wonder. Here's Jones again. Can he force the issue here? Johnny Allison, the midfield maestro. Can he weave his magic? He's really it towards the edge of the area. Might get a bit of luck here, but he can't, and it's Chelsea coming away again. It's that man again, Thiago Silva, BBC's player of the match, chosen by a man not too far away, former Nottingham Forest, incidentally, and Tottenham player Jermaine Genius, incidentally, and not too far away from us in the commentary box either. Those him and Mr. Mulberry, the BBC lot. Of course, there'll be one from the BBC's here. I'm surprised half the cast of EastEnders haven't turned up. That's the way things have been so far. We've had a minute of the 3. Well, in this particular episode of the FA Cup soap opera, it's been according to form tonight. But Middlesbrough have tried, but Chelsea have just been far too good in every department. Is the bestest way I can possibly sum up the game. I think the final third, the end products have been they've just been too good. So we're now halfway through the 3 minutes. Can Middlesbrough at least end the run with a flourish? Not on this occasion. Kante, the ever willing, he's the new Claude Makelele, isn't he? He breaks up attacks, Chris, and he's, he reminds me a bit of Makelele when he used to play behind the back 4, or Graham Alexander, if you want to use a Burley adjective to it.
You can't put him in the same sentence. Come on.
Well, you can. I can do, and I will do. But he's a player that, he's so important, Kante. He does all the dirty work, but yet never wants the praise for it. But that is for sure. But
the story of N'Golo Kante is a dream. I mean, the man wasn't even in football essentially 10 years ago, and he's built himself into the best defensive midfielder on the planet. And it is just, he's won everything. He's won the World Cup. He's won the Champions League. He's won absolutely everything, all in the space, and he did it back to back, once with Leicester and once with Chelsea. I mean, it's a football good news story. Is N'Golo Kante, and I'm glad you mentioned Claude Makelele because people forget he existed, and a lot of people use Kante as the measure, but Makelele is essentially the measure for us older generation. As the seconds are ticking away now. For Chelsea to go through.
Not too old anyway. As we now played the 3 minutes, and indeed the referee does bowl for the end, and nice cordial handshake between Messrs Thomas Tuchel and Chris Wilder. But it's Chelsea who are through to Wembley for the semi-finals of the FA Cup. The damage was done practically in the first half, really, and maybe when Chris Wilder looked at it again, as Chris Whiteman quite rightly said a few moments ago, would he have started Sol Bamba rather than Dale Fry? But that's a question that Chris Wilder will have to answer. As Petr Cech there applauds his Chelsea boys off the field. It's been a trying few weeks for Chelsea Football Club off the pitch, but on the pitch they've flourished very well under Thomas Tuchel. A semi-final, another semi-final for them this season. They've reached the Carabao final, losing out to Liverpool, of course. But they're in an FA Cup semi-final, so they're going to be back at Wembley next month. And they're very much in with a chance of winning the Champions League if they can get past Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. But it's job done for them. Middlesbrough, well, they've had a good run. And you've got to say, fair play to them. They tried their best, but it just wasn't enough. Chelsea were just too tactically astute on the night. But what a run they've had to get past Manchester United and Tottenham is no mean feat. But they'll go away with their heads very much held high. There will be a pangs of regret in Wilder's selection in tactics, but however, big fish will be trying to get into those playoffs for a shot at the Premier League. But it's finished here in the first of the 4 quarterfinals here at the Riverside Stadium. It's been a good game to watch. Very much enjoyed it. It's Chelsea who go through to the semi-finals, Mike. Winners over a plucky Middlesbrough by 2-0.
Thank you, JB. Thank you, Chris, as well. And as you say there, Chelsea go through and progress through to the semi-finals there. And job well done for Thomas Tuchel's man. Very professionally done there for the Premier League Giants. And it's back to Championship action and a trip to Peterborough next for Middlesbrough in action for them, of course, next weekend. And that's, of course, as JB was mentioning there, a great run-in for Middlesbrough as well, wasn't it, Chris? Just kind of a word on them for a minute. Of course, knocking out Manchester United and doing it in the way that they did. And then, obviously, knocking out Tottenham as well. Underdog in both of those games. And then, just fell short today. But, good overall run-in from them. And, put in a few strong performances. And, if they can continue to use a bit of the momentum they brought themselves in this FA Cup, as they have done in recent weeks in the league, then they could certainly be in with a shout in those playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's been done in the past with previous promotion sides. A good cup run can give you momentum in the league, and they've certainly applied that this year. Obviously, they are fighting for a playoff spot. The extra games aren't necessarily great. You can end up, if you end up with a good cup run and a place in the playoffs, you can end up playing like late 50s, sometimes 60-odd games in a season. I certainly know that from personal experience, which can really stretch a squad. But Middlesbrough today, I think Tuchel won the tactical battle. And I do think, obviously, a second half, Middlesbrough were equal to Chelsea. Solbamba came on, Mark Lukaku out of the game, and, it was fairly even. But those 2 early goals, Middlesbrough just couldn't recover from because Chelsea's defence was resolute and they got the tactical game spot on. So Tuchel can certainly take a lot of plaudits from this one. It was a very professional job by Chelsea, and given circumstances surrounding them at the minutes, it didn't look like it fazed them one bit.
No, I was just going to mention that as well. Obviously, it hasn't fazed them in terms of everything that's been going on off the field. Just going into this competition a little bit as well. Of course, Manchester City got to play tomorrow. Liverpool got a tricky game away at Nottingham Forest. Be very similar to this, I think, with what they're obviously going to a championship ground, and obviously they've got to do their bit. But where would you put Chelsea in terms of favourites for this competition at this present moment in time?
It's difficult to say. They're definitely one of the favourites. I mean, they're always a contender for the FA Cup year on year. It tends to be a surprise if Chelsea don't make it to at least the semi-final stage normally. So it's just a case of how the draw goes, really. I mean, looking at the teams that were left in it, obviously they got the slightly easier draw, but Middlesbrough, it was not an easy prospect given their record in the FA Cup. Their hit list this year has been pretty good, but Chelsea, I mean, they've been winning. They've had 3 trophies in the last 12 months. European Cup, European Super Cup, World Club Cup. Once you start winning trophies regularly, it suddenly becomes second nature. And I think they're certainly getting used to playing big games again. A bit like the sort of Jose Mourinho first era, where the trophies were coming left, right, and centre. You suddenly get that big game mentality throughout the side, and games like this become kind of sort of normal thing for them. You know, you've got the experience of Thiago Silva, who has won every trophy you could possibly list, as has Azpilicueta. You know, that winning mentality becomes contagious. And then games like this, it's just a case of, your time's going to come. And then players like Mason Mount can really kind of capitalise on it, who ran the show today. He could have had 3 or 4 assists to his name had some of the finishing been a little bit better tonight. But Chelsea, yeah, they've got to be the favourites, and depending on how everyone else gets on, they could be outright favourites come to the semi-final stage, because you never know what will happen with the others. But you could have a scenario where Liverpool and Manchester City are knocked out, and then Chelsea would definitely be the favourites. On the other hand, it might be a case of they go up against one of the other favourites, which is a distinct possibility. So it really is a case of, it's the FA Cup. Anything can happen. It's just a matter of taking your chances when they come. And today, Chelsea didn't have too many, but they took 2 and won by 2-0. And that's going to be ultimately the stat that matters.
100%. And when you look at, obviously, Thomas Tuchel there, he's going to be delighted with that performance as a whole. And even the fact that, he's able to, get a few younger players on, players with a little bit less experience at the end there as well, and give them a bit of game time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's part of that, get them part of that, mentality. They'll get on that pitch, and the way everyone else is playing will become contagious to them. They'll all end up having that same mindset where it's we've got a job to do here. We'll just get it done here. We won't overcomplicate things. And it was a very professional tactical masterclass from Chelsea today. They knew how Middlesbrough were going to play, which was high press. They knew what they had to do to unlock the defence, which was a couple of quick passes, and suddenly we've got the numbers game on them. And, they did it twice. Caught them once and then caught them with another sucker punch again. And Middlesbrough had no real response to that. And once that 2-goal lead was established, Chelsea never really looked like relinquishing it, because, defensively, setup-wise, they are excellent. And when you've got people like Kante, you can bring on from the bench to shore things up. It really was kind of a done deal after 30 minutes, really.
Of course, just 100%. And when you look at, I'm just having a look here at some of Chelsea's games that they've got coming up as well. Of course, they've got Brentford in the league next week. Following on with that is the 2 games against Real Madrid. Obviously, a game against Southampton, sort of sandwich between them as well. But overall, where can they go this season? Of course, off the pitch is a different matter right now, but on the pitch, they're in the hunt for a couple of trophies. So, personally, I wouldn't be surprised if they walked away with at least 1 trophy come the end of the season.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of talk about Liverpool going for the quadruple, but Chelsea are definitely one of those. Well, they've already hurdled Chelsea once, but they could be a potential obstacle 2 more times if you're looking at it. The league is probably off limits at this point, because that chase that Liverpool are currently in with Manchester City, there's only 1 point in it with 9 games to go. Although Chelsea do have a game in hand, they could kind of be that. I remember obviously when Arsenal and Leicester were fighting Arsenal kind of snuck in behind Spurs in that title race between Leicester and Spurs when Leicester won the league, and Arsenal kind of snuck in last minute to nick second. That could kind of be a scenario there for Chelsea, which could obviously help them a little bit better Champions League-wise. Although we don't know what's going to happen off the pitch. Will there be a points deduction perhaps? We're hoping that the takeover thing will just happen and there won't be any kind of deductions, because that would be unfair on Chelsea. But they could easily circumnavigate that whole scenario by winning the Champions League again. It's a distinct possibility. So it's, one of those, for their season, they could win a couple of trophies, and given circumstances, it would be one of the all-time great seasons to look at achievement-wise, because the drama off the pitch, normally a team would kind of start falling to bits, but this group of players and the way Tuchel's got them organised, it's that's just noise to them, and they're performing admirably. And yeah, they could finish the season, I say, with a couple of trophies. They've already got 2, so potential quadruple. It's a mini quadruple, but it's on the card still for Chelsea.
100%. And when you look at those trophies, they're still very, very good trophies, especially the Club World Cup, when they obviously went on and won that one. And of course, they're right in the mix at the minute for Champions League football as well, sitting comfortably in 3rd, just above Arsenal, 5 points ahead of Arsenal at the moment. And got a few favourable games in the league coming up as well. So, as you say, they could potentially sneak into 2nd. But I think, if Chelsea are able to get Champions League football and then maybe go on and win an FA Cup or maybe go on and win the Champions League again, then, whatever happens sort of off the pitch, then you can look at that as a successful season, from a playing point anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's already been a moderately successful season, as we said, with Super Cup and Club World Cup. The Club World Cup is a sort of, I feel like it's a very undervalued achievement, because given the air mileage that you have to do to get that, and you kind of have to abandon your league season to do it as well. It's a complicated scenario to win that competition. Plus, you can only be in it if you've won the Champions League. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's undervalued, because what you have to do to get there, you have to win a lot of stuff. So, for them to consider this season a disappointment, I think would be kind of alarming to everyone else. Potentially 2 trophies in a disappointing season. Okay, most teams would love that, but I understand, obviously, Super Cup is a one-off match between themselves and Europa League winners, but it's still a trophy to win, bit like the Community Shield. Teams that don't win it because they're not in it don't really rate it, but ultimately, if your team's got your hands on it, you care about it a little bit, and the same can be said for Chelsea. And given circumstances this year, I think they've done really well so far.
Yeah, I think they have as well. I think obviously last season, they had a very good FA Cup run where, of course, they got to the final and were beaten by Leicester in that Yuri Tielemans strike. So, that's probably going to be their aim again, to go on and go one better and actually lift the trophy this time up. But we're going to leave it there, actually, for this coverage. Of course, we've got some games coming up tomorrow on the channel as well, where we're going to be covering 2 of the games live. And I think there's going to be a recorded game coming out as well in the FA Cup. So, we'll just quickly confirm what those are going to be. I know Nottingham Forest and Liverpool is going to be one of the live games, I believe, with Trevor and Paul. And also, I think Russ is going to be covering the game between Southampton and Manchester City live as well. And then the other game is going to be the recorded game. So, just going to confirm that one for a second. In Crystal Palace and Everton's going to be the recorded game. So we will have 2 games across the channel anyway for tomorrow in terms of live action. And then we'll also have the recorded game going out on Monday. And of course, you've had 2 games today as well, was both sides from London have had to travel, one in the Premier League and one in the FA Cup. And both of those 2 sides have been successful and done it with a clean sheet as well, as Arsenal won by 1-0 at Aston Villa earlier. And as you just heard there with JB and Chris, Chelsea progressed through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup with a professional job done against Championship playoff chasing Middlesbrough. So just going to leave it there. So thank you to JB and to Chris for covering this game this afternoon. It's Chelsea that progressed. Thomas Tuchel's side are on for another trophy. Will they go one better than they did last season? With Leicester out of the picture, I wouldn't put it past them.